T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to my very first Friday Night Live Drinks with Shane. Pleasure to have you guys here. I got a very special guest waiting for us in the background. So before we get on, I'm just going to wait a couple minutes, a minute or so, just to get a couple more people to pop in. But hey, thank you for joining me on this little experiment that I've got going on with this live channel. I just wanted to try something a little bit different, have a live-only channel just for fun and just to see how that works. A lot of people just ask me, "No, gee, Shane, why are you doing a live channel and not just doing the stuff on your regular channel? Don't you want the view time?" And I'm like, you know what? I'm not here to make money. So I just wanted to try a little experiment to see exactly how it was going to go, and just something different. I like to change things up, try a little bit different things. So what I'm going to do to start off with here today is I'm going to bring in our very, very special guest, the very, very first guest on Shane's Friday Night Live Drinks. You guys know him. You love him. He is one of the best YouTubers out there as far as beer reviews go, for sure. And he is also, as you guys know, the 2023 fan favorite Chuggy Award winner. It is my great pleasure to introduce my good friend, Brian, TheBeerSnob. Brian, how are you tonight, buddy?
Oh, life is good. I've got Tiger.
And he's got Tiger with him.
He's seeming quite camera shy. I don't know. Yeah.
That's weird. Maybe it's because he knows this is a new channel for me, so he's trying to, not show his butt and get me banned right away.
It's coming. Don't think it's not. It's coming.
Oh, I'm sure it is, for sure. So really quickly, we do have Vanessa Kitty's in the house. What's going on? I have something really special for you. I should probably do that before a whole lot of people get on, because it's embarrassing. And if you know anything about me, Vanessa, you'll understand why it's embarrassing. Give me one quick second.
He says it's embarrassing, but I'll tell you what, he doesn't get embarrassed.
Oh yeah. All right, here we go. I've been waiting to do this for a couple weeks, and I practiced a little bit, and it's still going to sound like absolute garbage, Vanessa. I apologize. Maybe you can join me in this one, because not everybody knows that today is Vanessa's 49th birthday. So I just want to sing a quick little song here. It's a young thing. So I'm just going to embarrass myself here on her 49th birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Vanessa Kitty. Happy birthday to you. Okay, that's all you got, Vanessa. I'm sorry. I cannot sing to save my life. I'm sorry. I can barely play guitar. But hey, there's a song for you. I told you I would remember your birthday. I wrote it down. So I would not forget. Because if Shane doesn't write stuff down, he forgets it. He's a bit of a moron. But yeah, happy birthday, Vanessa. I hope you had a great day. Yeah, I wish I could have came and celebrated with you. Maybe tried out some of that, your famous smoked squirrel. I'm still really keen on trying that out.
Smoked squirrel. It's been a
Oh yeah,
minute since I've had some squirrel.
yeah, I've never had squirrel, but the way she describes it, it makes it sound like it's just fantastic. So I'm kind of keen to try it because you know me, I'll try anything, right?
Well,
As long as it
and
doesn't taste like liver.
the thing that a lot of people don't know about squirrel is even though they look kind of small, they do yield a whole lot of meat. I saw it on an episode of All by Myself. This guy caught a squirrel in a snare trap, and when he skinned it, it came out with a big old fillet of. Could have fed an
That is
army
true.
on that thing. It's amazing.
That's true. I thought that scene was hilarious. I really did. I enjoyed the way Jeremy put all that together. That was pretty cool.
And I was explaining that to some coworkers. I said most of these people are YouTubers, so they kind of get the whole filming kind of in public and all that other stuff and thinking of things to say. But I said two of these people are not YouTubers, and I was just kind of blown away by both of them because it's not what they do, but they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it's really cool. And like I said, I actually got to go out to dinner with Jeremy a couple of weeks ago because it was his wife's 50th birthday party. And I told him, I said, you know, I said, not only myself, but I said the rest of the guys were really impressed by what you did because you're not a YouTuber. You don't do videos of yourself doing stuff like that. And he said, he goes, I didn't mind doing it. He goes, it was pretty easy because I was by myself. He goes, I think if his wife or somebody was watching him, he doesn't think he could have done as good of a job because he's not used to that audience kind of thing. But he said, that's no problem. He goes, I'll be there. I'll be there next year. So I'm like, okay, great, man.
So how far does he live from you? Is he?
Oh, Jeremy? Oh, he's like 40. He's closer than Drew. He's about 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And Drew's about a bit over an hour.
Like I say, we just watched that the Alone thing. I want to say it was at work, but I may have been. Oh no! It was my cousin and her husband came for Thanksgiving, and while they were upstairs doing whatever, me and her husband were down here, and he saw my setup and he's like, "Oh, you do YouTube videos?" I said, "Yeah," and he wanted to see a couple of them, and I showed him, and then I said, "But you got to see this." And I showed him your All by Myself.
Right.
Of course, I had to set the stage. I had to do your season 1 where it was just you, and then had to do the season 2, and he thought it was amazing.
So you made him watch like 2 hours worth of videos of mine? That's awesome.
Well, it was a good show though. You lose track of time.
Right. Oh, for sure. It was fun. Like I said, everybody put their own little spin on it, and it was a lot of fun to watch. If anybody out there has not watched my All by Myself series, go back. It was just a couple months ago. It's a 2-part series. Really, really fun. A lot of fun. Okay, so Brian, do you have a beer with you? I uncracked beer. You do? Okay. So the way I want to do the show is I want to do like I said, I'm going to have one special guest on every single week. And I think we'll probably just start off the show with just some small talk like we're doing now. And then we'll both do a beer review. And then I'm going to grill you with a bunch of questions so that anybody who is not familiar with you or your channel can get to know you a little bit better. So if you want to go ahead, do you want to do the beer review first, or I can do it? It doesn't matter.
Well, I'll do it because while you were gone, I did go get it. So it's been sitting here waiting to crack. I couldn't wait. I already had one. But this is a beer, and I love it because, people always tell me with my name, Brian TheBeerSnob, oh, you don't drink regular beers. You just drink those bougie beers. And I'm like, well, let me tell you what. This has become a favorite of mine that I keep in the refrigerator. My daily drinker would be the Yingling traditional lager, but this right here is Champagne Velvet. So a little bit about me. I have an old soul. On Sirius XM, the satellite call radio, I love listening to channel 148. It's the radio classics. It's radio programs from way back, like the 40s and 50s, things like that. Well, they play this commercial on there, and it's Champagne Velvet. And thing is, this brand went out of existence a long, long, long time ago. And then Upland Brewing it's in Illinois somewhere, Bloomington, Indiana. Excuse me. It's in Indiana. They bought the rights to it and the name and the recipe, so they started brewing it again. And it says right there, it's the beer with the $1 million flavor. This is just beer that tastes like beer, and I love it because it's not a macro, and it's not that expensive. These are pint cans, so you get 4 pints for like, I think it's $8.50. So it's not an expensive beer, and it's let me crack this thing open because my glass is about empty. I didn't know I was going to be reviewing this, so I'm using a green glass. So that's you're not really gonna see anything about it. But it's Christmas season, so I got my Christmas glass and my hat and my shirt. One thing I noticed when it's not in a green glass, very pale in color. Doesn't look like it's going to taste impressive at all, but I can tell you it packs a lot of flavor, a lot of beer flavored flavor. It's probably just like a regular beer, which to me is amazing because I don't really drink those kind of beers anymore, but I do drink that one. Let me see what it's got in it here. 5.5% alcohol. And one of the things that's funny about the label, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it says here, this beer contains no flavors or additives. Well, it has flavor. It has beer flavor. But I thought that was funny. It says this beer has no flavors. Okay, they probably mean wild and wacky flavors. It's just beer, and I love it. And if you can find it, especially if you're in the Indiana area, I live in Georgia, and I can get this all day long here. Matter of fact, the beer shop that I go to that's very close to the Atlanta airport, they keep it regularly stocked, and when I go in and see it on the shelf, I remove it from the shelf, and I buy it and bring it home.
Nice. I love it. All right, so I'm going to do a quick one here, Brian, and then I'm going to drill you with a bunch of questions. If anybody who's watching right now, if you have any questions for myself or Brian, just about anything, just ask them in the comments. I'll bring them up. You could ask us about anything, what our favorite beer is, what color our underwear is. Try and keep it clean. I mean, I guess underwear is kind of clean. But yeah, so if you have any questions, definitely throw them out there, and we'll get to them right after I am done my quick little beer review here. Sorry, I'm using a different setup today, guys, so I apologize if I'm moving my hands around a little bit. So I'm going to be trying this beer. I got this out of a mixer pack. It was an IPA mixer pack from Refined Fool Brewing Company. This is the Short Pier Long Walk. This is a double IPA, 8.4% alcohol by volume. I've had a couple by Refined Fool in the past little bit, and they have been absolutely spectacular. Their one IPA, I think I rated it at like 4.5 or 4.75. Like it was a top-notch IPA. I can't remember what the hell the name of it was. It was called Nothing to See Here by Refined Fool. Really, really excellent. Look at the head on that. That is fantastic. Oh, that's getting nice hoppy. This is going to be bitter for sure, and I like a bitter IPA. Lots of citrus in there. We'll give it a quick little cheers here, guys. Cheers. Oh, that is quite nice. You're getting that bitterness, getting that nice malt backbone behind it. You're getting the citrus. Really, really quite good. Quite bitter. I'm going to guess probably like in the 60 to 70 IBU range. Pretty bitter, but yeah, tasty as hell. I really like this. It is really, really good. If you get a chance, yeah, definitely get one. Let me exit out my solo layout here. Boop. There we go. Bring my buddy Brian back in. All right, Brian. So I know probably most of the people that watch my channel also watch your channel. And if they don't, they should. If you guys are not subscribed to Brian the Beer Snob, definitely check out his channel. I'll eventually throw a link up here in a minute for his channel. But let's get to know Brian for those of you guys who don't know Brian, or even those of you guys who do, maybe get to know him a little bit better. So just a couple of really quick, simple questions here, Brian. So start off, what made you want to start a beer review channel? What was your reasoning behind starting your channel?
I didn't really want to start it. My wife actually wanted to start a channel with the pets, and because we had gotten 3 pets like real close in a short period of time, and they were all very young, a cat, a dog, and a tortoise. And she wanted to film them like growing up together or whatever. And
Right.
so I set her up a whole little studio in the basement, and I was excited about it. And she just didn't. She didn't want to start filming. She just kept putting it off. And I said, well, these animals get big very quickly. So it's not like if you want to film them growing up, you can't wait 3 weeks because, geez, a cat's like full size in 8 weeks or something. So you gotta do it. And she snapped at me one day. She says, when I'm ready to film, I'll let you know. And I said, well, get out of the basement because you're never going to be ready. So I just, to teach her a lesson, said I was going to film something. And she gave me this snooty, like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, just get out of the basement. I'll figure something out. And I just went to the fridge and got a beer. And I just sat there thinking what I could do. And I'm like, well, I'm drinking this beer. I'll film myself drinking this beer. How about that?
Well, good a reason as any, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
really.
it was horrible. It sucked. I mean, I'm sure you experienced it. Well, you've got some more speaking in public experience. I know you've done like stand up and stuff like that. So you're probably a little bit more
Right.
comfortable doing it, whereas I don't have any of that experience. So just sitting alone in a room talking to the camera, it's hard to do. I know
for
that
sure it is.
I'm a boring person in real life, and I wouldn't want to talk to myself, but that's what I had to do, and it was like so horrible. But then your buddy says he probably couldn't film if his wife was there. He said he had no problem filming because he was alone. Well,
Right.
I knew, okay, I can talk with nobody in the room, but I have to get over that. So I
Right.
invited my wife to come down and like hold the camera instead of me just having a still shot from a tripod. She kind of would move around to add something else to the videos. She was never on the videos, but she was there. But that's hard too. When you're talking to
Right.
somebody who's in the room, you're not talking to them. You're talking to the camera they're holding, and they're not talking back. It makes it hard because what we do, there's no scripts, there's no teleprompters, there's no nothing. It's just you got to talk about what's off the top of your head, and a lot of times in my head there's nothing going on, which makes it hard to come up with a conversation that people want to listen to. But you just keep doing it, and it gets more and more. And that's why it was so great at the first annual BrewTuber get together in Atlanta. I guess that's been 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago now, 2.5 years ago, when we went out to the breweries. And it was awesome because of the BrewTubers that were there. I remember one in particular. It was you and Mallory. You went over. We were at Monday night, and you guys ran over to the wall that's got all those ties.
Right, the tie wall, yeah.
I mean, and there was a lot of people because it was storming real bad that night. I mean, we got drenched coming in from the parking lot. It was raining.
Yes, we did.
Had to take like a little canoe to get over to the front door. But and there was a lot of people in there. But you guys just ran over there and boom, she whipped out. I think it was a 60-second sips or something with you, and it's like, see, that's something I never would have been able to do before.
Right.
Especially with a bunch of people, and they're like, who. Whatever. But now it just seems normal. Doing that is normal. So
yeah, and it's funny, like you said, like when you first start doing it, like even just talking to the camera is awkward, and then you get comfortable with that. And like you said, when you're out in public, if you're at a bar or a brewery or someplace, and there's people around and you're trying to do a video, it's like, you're nervous about it. But I mean, you get over that. Over time, I've gotten over it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you mentioned me doing my comedy nights. Those are terrifying for me, only because it's a lot of people that you're talking to, and that's not something I've done a whole lot. I mean, I've only done the stand-up thing a couple times, so that can be a little bit nerve-wracking when there's you got 100 people standing there staring at, like, hey, make us laugh, dude. It's a lot of pressure when you're on stage. That's for sure. Yeah, okay. So I already, I know what I wanted to get back to. You were talking about having animals grow up. See, this is why I have a pen and paper, so I write this stuff down. You're watching animals grow up. Here's a question for you, or anybody else that's watching. Have you ever seen a baby seagull? Think about it. No, you haven't.
Why is that?
I have no idea. I think it might be one of those things like you were saying, like the cat grows up so fast. Maybe the seagulls grow up so fast. Because a buddy of mine asked me that, like, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And I'm like, no, I've never seen a baby seagull. And every time I see seagulls around, I'm looking, and there's no baby seagulls. It's
Hmm.
the weirdest thing. And you'll notice it now that I've mentioned it. You guys will notice it that there's no baby seagulls out there. It's all full grown seagulls,
Well,
which is really weird.
I will be able to look at that. My wedding anniversary is coming up here on the 21st of December, so me and my wife are leaving the kids behind, and we're heading down to a little. It's just a quick. It's a little quick 3-day trip because she's out of time that she can take off from work. So I'm still going to float that. We're going to go from Wednesday to Friday. I don't have to be back to work till Monday, so I'm going to tell her that it sucks. She's got to go back on Friday and go to work, but I'm going to stay in the Dominican Republic until Sunday. And if I survive the beating, I'll probably be back in Atlanta on Friday.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Vanessa saying a speech about a beer to an audience on the other side of a camera. Yeah, like I said, for people who have never done videos or anything like that, it can be quite difficult as well. The initial public speaking time tends to get you beyond the worry of starting. United States Air Force did that to me early on. Yeah, it's just one of those things you just have to overcome and just do it a couple times. And it's the first
The
couple
more
times
you
is
do it, the more comfortable you're going to get.
right. And it's extremely. I'm sorry, I got my hand right in front of the camera. I'm pouring. I apologize. It can be extremely awkward and kind of embarrassing because you're like, because you're not really comfortable with doing it. But yeah, you do get used to it, and then before long you become pros like Brian and I, and everything is good with the world. We got that 7th-time grower in the house. Good. Vanessa also says baby robins grow up extremely fast. 3 families use one nest each spring, one group after another. Yeah, they do. They're like 6 weeks, I think, or something. I think robins, like from the time they're born until the time they're gone. It's not that long at all. And I know that for sure. Oh. All right, so you ready for your next question, Brian?
Oh yeah.
I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to just put it out there for people who don't know. What is your favorite beer style, and why?
Well, I'm not drinking it right now. I do love this beer, but my favorite style is stouts. I like stouts and porters, and it's a weird reason why. Like I said, once again, just going back to the name, Brian the Beer Snob. It's this has not been me my whole life. My whole life I drank cheap macro beers. I was Bud Light, Coors Light. I got into Miller Lite. And there's probably a mental reason for that is, when I was in high school, old men in my town drank Miller Lite. So I thought it was an old man's beer. So as long as I don't ever drink it, I will not be an old man, even though I'm older now than those men that were drinking it when I was in high school.
Right.
I like stouts and porters, and because it's weird. I totally went from only drinking cheap light beers to skipping everything in the middle. And then I just drank stouts and porters, and I drank them year round. I was the weird guy by the pool in the summertime drinking a stout when everybody else is drinking, light beers and summer beers. And they said, "Oh, that's not a summer beer." And I'm like, "Well, they still sell it in the store. So, I mean, it is."
Right.
But I get it now. So now, even though that's my favorite, and the reason why is they're so flavorful.
They are.
I love IPAs, but I can't drink more than a couple IPAs at a sitting because
Right.
it's just the hoppiness finally gets to me. But stouts are just sippers, and a lot of them, even though they warm up, they just get more flavorful as they warm up. So It's that
Yeah,
time of year. I don't even know if I have any. Yeah, I got some KBS over there. That's a banger of a
oh
stout.
yes, yeah, the KBS. Yep, that is good. And see, I'm going to bring up Vanessa's comment here, and I'm also going to make a comment that Chase would say, Nutmeg Chew Palmetto. He always says every season is stout season. He's
Yeah.
another one of those guys. Much like me, I'll drink a stout in the summer. I don't care if I feel like having a stout or a porter, like Vanessa said, I'll drink them. It's whatever I feel like drinking. And again, she says I drink stouts year round and actively encourage him there to do so. Yeah, just drink them all year round, Brad. It's all good.
I have two. My top two. I say I have three absolute favorite beers, and if you ask me which one is my favorite, it's a three-way tie for first place. And I've got two of them in the fridge over there. I've got my Triple Chocolate Manifesto from Canada, Flying Monkey.
Fantastic.
And that's like what, 10 or 11%. That's a real banger. And then I got the Fat Bear that I picked up in Chicago over the summer.
Another solid
Those are my special occasion beers. That's like my champagne I'm saving for a special occasion to crack those open because I only have one can of each. And then Sweet Baby Jesus, that comes out of I know what it is. I can't think of it at the moment. But Sweet Baby Jesus.
That's a porter, though, right?
It is a porter.
Okay, I thought
it is absolutely fantastic.
I've seen a couple guys review the Sweet Baby Jesus. I think Josh from not the Malted Gentleman, the other one, Half-Ass Beer Review. I think he's done one. Yeah, he's done one, and I think maybe even Malted Gentleman's done one as well, perhaps. But they sound fantastic.
Well, the one that
I gotta get my hands on one.
I haven't seen it in a minute. Of course, I haven't actually been back to the beer store in a while, but the one that I've been seeing a lot of is the Sweet Baby Java, which is obviously it's by the same brewery. It's just it's a different beer. I haven't tried that one yet. But I do love the coffee stouts as well.
Right.
But that Sweet Baby Jesus, that's chocolate.
I heard that's spectacular. That's spectacular. Nice. Well, that's just saying some will never be wheeled off those light beer flavored water drinks. Yeah. And what's funny, I had a rental car for a couple of weeks. I actually had to go and drop it off today. And when I was at the rental car company, somehow I got in a conversation with the girl behind the counter about me being a beer reviewer. I don't even know how the conversation started. I think it was something she said. And we started talking about beers and stuff like that. And one guy came out of the back. He's like, "Hey," he goes, "You do beer reviews?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh," he goes, "How many different beers have you tried?" So I had to get out my Untapped app. So I'm like just under 1,400. He's like, "What? There's that many beers?" I'm like, "Dude, there is hundreds of thousands of beers. Like, you have no idea." He's like, "Oh, what kind of beers do you drink?" I'm like, "I drink IPAs, blah blah blah." He's like, "Oh," he goes, "I only drink like Bud Light or Miller." I'm like, "Oh," I said, "You're a macro guy." And he's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "It's
what's that?"
He's like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I can't get into craft beers." I'm like, "Why not?" He's like, "Oh, they're too bitter and too." I'm like, "Because you're trying the wrong ones. You can't." Because I never used to like IPAs. I love them now, but you have to start off, maybe with like a session IPA, or maybe try like a stout or a light sour, or if you like sour, try and you just kind of work on your palate.
And sometimes, when the IBU is posted on the can, it can be just as deceiving as the alcohol content. Because, for me, when I drank the Triple Chocolate Manifesto, it's got a lot of alcohol in it, but I don't really taste it in my mouth. Now, there's been some beers that were 10%, where as soon as you take a swig, the only thing you taste is the alcohol. And it's like, woof, this thing is potent. But
yeah, exactly.
Some of them can hide it, and those are the dangerous ones because you don't taste the alcohol, so you're just like,
right.
But I just did one just last week, or maybe it was this week it came out, and it had 69 IBUs. Now, at 69, it should have been noticeably bitter, and it was mildly bitter, just because of the other flavors that kind of complemented it. Maybe it's like the sweet and salty, it just got, not that the beer was sweet and salty. I'm just, for example, you got two opposing flavors. Well, you got the bitterness in that beer that was kind of up here, but the other stuff in it made it taste like it was bitter down here, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And like that Heady Topper, like that is a 100 IBU beer, but it doesn't taste like 100 because it's got so much flavor. You don't really notice that bitterness in it.
I still got that
I,
one that you gave me. I need to review that.
I gave you that in July, man.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
I gave that to you in July, for God's sakes. That is an excellent beer. You're gonna like it. It's not quite as good as the Focal Banger that they make. Like the Focal Banger's this much better. But
I've heard good things about Focal Banger, but I don't have one of those. But I do have the Heady Topper. So
yeah, and the Heady don't get me wrong. The Heady Topper is an excellent beer. Like you're really gonna like it. It is really good.
Yeah, because Heady Topper, that's from man, I can't even think tonight.
Heady Topper's from Alchemist.
You know what? The reason why I can't think. Here's my tragic story. I told you that my anniversary is coming up in like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
So my wife's had us on a diet.
Oh no.
So I'm going 2 weeks on just freaking salads and so she comes.
I'm sorry.
She comes out. She went in the bathroom and weighed herself, and she let out this little scream, and she comes running into the bedroom, and she's like, "I'm only 3 pounds away from my weight loss goal." So I said, "That's great. That means we're about done with this diet." And her mood just changed. She went from being all happy to like, "No, I'm almost done with the diet. You are going to stay on it till the 20th before we go down to the Dominican Republic."
Wow.
And I said, "You don't know what my weight loss goal is. You never asked me." She's like, "No, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You're staying on the diet till the 20th.
She's telling you what your weight loss goal is. Holy,
Well,
that's pretty harsh.
As it turns out, your brain is actually very fatty. And since I have, you know me, you've met me before, I don't have any body fat. So my brain is shrinking. All the fat is in my brain and it's shrinking. And I can't remember anything. Oh, by the way,
awesome.
My wife does not know that I'm drinking this. This is not on the diet. So I know she doesn't watch my videos or Shane's. So I know this is safe. So please, nobody share this out to my wife because
that's right.
I can't handle too many more beatings.
Hey, Friday Night Live Drinks with Shane is always a safe place for everybody. Or I like to say it is anyway. So Vanessa's liking the Dragon's Milk Stout. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago.
I love Dragon's Milk.
Yep, the Guinness Foreign Exchange Stout and left-hand Nitro Stout, which I have never had.
I have a left-hand Nitro Stout story as well. Early on in my beer reviewing days, I think it's maybe like my 10th video. I broke my foot, and I'm not a big pain medicine guy. I never want to go the pain medicine route because I just don't. So I had to become my own doctor after going to the real doctor and getting like my foot, casted up. I drank a left-hand Nitro Stout and a Young's. I think it's a Young's double chocolate.
Oh, the Young's is good.
And let me tell you, there was no pain. That bone could have been sticking out the top of my foot, and it almost was. But I didn't feel it because that was some magical elixir right there.
Yeah. So, I think Vanessa's comment here, I think she just put that up just to get me excited. Maple Stouts. When I buy them, go on my steps. I love maple stout.
If only I don't have to go. I knew somebody in Canada that could regularly get maple stouts.
You know what? They're not as common up here as you would think that they are.
Well,
I actually saw more maple beers in Vermont when I was in Vermont than I did up here.
Well, I guess
but, I mean,
as far
Vermont's
as the United States goes, Vermont is our maple syrup mecca.
Right. Yeah. And they make some good maple syrup up there.
But see, I'd be worried
it's pretty much the same.
If like there was a Georgia brewery that made a maple stout, I'd think, did they brew this with like, the Aunt Jemima or the log cabin that's not real maple syrup? It's just high fructose corn syrup and some other flavorings. That's what I would think,
Right.
I'm a fan of the original. I don't care how expensive it is. I know the love that goes into the process of it. I want the real deal.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well. I mean, maple syrup is fairly pricey. but you're getting a delicious, fantastic product. That's for sure.
It just blows my mind that once upon a time, who knows how long ago, I assume a Canadian guy tapped his maple tree and got like 8 gallons of stuff and said, what am I going to do with this? I got an idea. Let's just boil it. Hey,
Right.
Pa, it's shrinking. As we're boiling it, I just keep boiling it. Keep boiling it. You get down to a cup. Yeah, that's it. Let's take, ooh, that's good on pancake. It's like, because it takes so much of that sap to boil down to the actual syrup. It's like, holy moly, that's why it's so expensive. And what's the ratio? You probably know. I said 8 gallons to a cup. I don't know.
It's 40 to 1.
Holy moly,
you need 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of maple syrup.
That's why it's so expensive right there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I was at a sugar bush, God, many years ago, maybe 10 or 12 years ago. And the story that I don't know if it's true. I've never looked at it up. But the story that they told about how they discovered maple syrup was some kids were supposed to take like a bucket and go get water because the mom was making soup for dinner or something like that. And so they put it beside this tree where dad had put an axe in the maple tree, whatever. And they went and played. And when they came back, they noticed there was all this liquid in the pail already. They're like, oh, somebody must have filled it up for us already. So they brought it to the house, and then mom cooked it up with the soup and noticed it was really sweet. And they're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Where did you get that? And, after this, they figured out where the stuff came from. That's how it kind of evolved. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but that's the story that they told us at the sugar bush near us.
Maple soup.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. That'd be great. And it'd be much better than that flowery stuff Vanessa's talking about. I cannot handle beers with flowery taste. Things come from flowering plants. Hops are fine, but added flour and such, my brain seems to go no. I
flour. See, I was confused. I thought she was talking about flour, like the white powder flour. Is she talking floral? Because if that's what she's talking about, I do not like floral tasting beers. I've had a couple, and that taste just really doesn't do it for me. I literally had one. It felt like they picked a bunch of the petals off the flower and just wrung them out into the beer, and it was just horrible. Other people love it, but for me, that's not a taste I like.
I can do it if there's just like a hint of like a floralness behind it. Actually, I did a beer the other day that had just a hint of floral. It was okay. It didn't bother me too much. It actually added a little bit. But once you get too floral up front, and it tastes like you're chewing on a flower, like that's it for me. I can't do the floral. Dang, my weight loss has been regularly good. Hey, good on you. As long as you can, if that's what your goal is, hopefully you got nobody yelling at you to, hey, you're not done your diet yet. Like poor Brian does.
I lost 5 pounds, and I'm gonna weigh myself after this weekend because apparently she thinks I'm gonna blow my diet all out of the water this weekend for some reason. I don't know why.
They worry too much. I mean, we're not dumb. Like we'll probably do a little bit more than we're as guys. Like we always, whether it be a diet or drinking. It's like, oh no, I'm okay. Like I'll have a couple, and maybe we might have one beer or one piece of pork chop too much more than we're supposed to. But it's not like we're doing it every day. It's like a special kind of little treat, little thing, I guess, right?
And the thing is, I mean, because our off days are different. She's off on Wednesdays and Thursdays, so like on Saturday and Sunday when it's my weekend, she has to work, and she'll always ask me like, "What did you and the boys eat yesterday?" And I'm like, I didn't know there was going to be a test on this, so I didn't really study. And then I'm like, boys, what did we eat yesterday? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. We had nothing. Because I mean, if I'm not hungry, the old me, the larger me would just go in the kitchen when I wasn't even hungry, just look at the refrigerator like, there's this in there, or go to the pantry and I'm like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But, I don't do that anymore because it's a calorie substitution. I changed the food calories out for, liquid lunch.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So getting back to our medical stuff here, Vanessa's saying sometimes the pain meds are used to get you to a state where your body can rest to heal. Yeah, sometimes I'm kind of like Brian a little bit. I try not to take medication when I don't have to. I mean, nowadays I have to take medication every day for my stuff, but yeah, I even before that, I tried not to take medication if I could avoid it, whether it be a pill or whatever. Um, I don't know why. Maybe I'm just because I'm stubborn. Vanessa's saying when I find the maple stouts that I can send them. Yeah, yeah, get some for me, Vanessa. I will pay you to ship them up. I got no problem with
So
that at all. None
I
at
know
all.
I probably heard this in the last slide, but where is Vanessa from? Is she up in New England?
Well, she said there was a comment she had earlier. I'd have to scroll through to get it. She's about, I think she's 6 hours from me. So wherever that is, that could be New England. See if we can find it. I help boil maple syrup. Yeah, see, 40 per gallon. As I'm going through all the comments here.
Oh, Connecticut. I was just up there.
Oh, Connecticut. That's right. Sorry, Vanessa. I forgot. I can't remember where it was.
I flew into Hartford. I had one of my Marine buddies passed away, and I went to his funeral last year, and can't remember the name of the town where we were at.
Hang on a second, ladies and gentlemen. My wife just came home from work early. She usually doesn't come home till 10. She must go early. And she is holding a block. Don't let me drop. Oh, yeah, look at this. Beer mail.
How do you know it's beer mail?
Because it's from Alan.
Oh.
It says, I'm not going to show the address, but I got beer mail from Alan. So I will have to do a unboxing video for that later. I'm excited as hell. That's great. I didn't even know that was at the door. Thank you. She obviously got done work early. She's usually not done until 10. But yeah, apparently this was sitting at my damn front door. Yeah, beer mail.
3 packages.
Yeah, BDL is where I flew into. I had
There's 3 packages at the front door. Only one was mine?
Black Bear Saloon, I think, inside Bradley Airport. I think it was called Black Bear Saloon, something like that.
Yeah. Give me one quick second here, Brian. You can improvise for just a minute.
Yeah. So here's my story about that. I said I'm almost positive it's called the Black Bear Saloon. It's in the Bradley Airport there. But I go in, and like I said it was my Marine, one of my Marine brothers passed away, and so I went up there for his funeral. So me and another Marine buddy were flying in to Bradley, and he had rented a car. We were gonna ride together. Well, my flight arrived early in the morning, and his flight arrived at like 4 in the afternoon. So I had to basically sit for hours in BDL. So what am I gonna do? I just sit in this bar, right? So my first beer was $9 for a pint. Okay. I drank it, and I told her, I said, the bartender, I told her, I said, oh, you got, I just want to drink local beers, but I don't want to drink the same beer twice. So like just and so she did that, and I sat there for I think 3 beers, and I had to go to the bathroom. So I said, listen, the bathroom's not in that bar. It was in the airport. So I said, just cash me out. I gotta go to the bathroom, and then I'll come back. And when I looked at the receipt, the first beer I bought was $9. The second beer was $10. The third beer was $11. I'm looking at the receipt, and I'm like, is that how they charge you there? Because what a coincidence that the first beer would be $9, the second beer was $10, and the third beer was $11. It's like the more beers you buy, does it get $1 more expensive each beer? Is that how they keep you from sitting there drinking all day, or what? I don't know. But it was good times. It was good times. Oh, you live less than 2 minutes from the main door. Man, I was right by your house then, because I know he was from Naugatuck, but that's not where he was living. He was actually living in Las Vegas when he passed away, and he was cremated, and the funeral was in Connecticut, but Litchfield. I think that's what it's called. Litchfield, Connecticut is where we were at. And the weird thing, because that was my first time ever being up in Connecticut, and it's like you're driving these little windy little roads, and you're passing these towns. And every time you come into a new town, there's a sign, and it says the name of a town. I can't think of any, but like Smithfield or Smithville or something. I'm just making this up, but established like 1770 or something. Like all these little towns had been founded like back in the 1700s, and it was weird because these are just little small little towns. But it was interesting because the little town that his mom lived in, that's where the funeral was at. I swear they must have like 15 pizza places, little tiny town. It's like, how can a little town like that support 15 different pizza places? But they love pizza up there, I guess.
Oh, apparently. Well, that's probably maybe that's like a staple for that town, though. I mean, if you got a small town and, there's that many pizza places, maybe that's like a staple, like almost every night, like, hey, let's order pizza.
You can never go wrong with pizza.
No, of course not. And with that many different pizza places, their prices are probably really competitive with each other. So it's probably just a matter of, who makes the best pizza in the area. Because that's who they're going to order from. So Vanessa grew up on the east coast of the Connecticut River, about 5 miles from her current home. All right, nice and close to home. Massachusetts and Connecticut does that. Oldest town in Cat is Windsor, 1633. And she also says they have good pizza there. But hey, anybody who's watching, again, because nobody's had one yet, if you have a question for Brian or myself, throw it up on the screen. We're gonna talk to Brian a little bit more here. We're gonna get to know Brian a little bit more. Where did I leave off?
Grinders.
Oh, yes, because we were talking about traveling earlier, and this is one of the questions I had for you. Because you travel quite a bit. Is there any place that you have not been to that is still on your bucket list? Like one place you absolutely have to go to that you have not been to yet?
Well, I've been lucky. When I joined the Marine Corps, I really wanted to see the world, and they decided it'd be in my best interest to only show me one place, and that was Japan, which was fantastic.
Right.
It's weird. Like, if you've never been to a place, like I know you're in Canada, I'm in the United States, and we can go to each other's countries, and you probably wouldn't even know you were in, if you're from Canada, and you probably wouldn't even know you was in the United States unless you
not really
told you. Like, if I was in Canada, because I'm sure it's very similar. We speak the same language, unless I'm looking around, I see, why is there all this French writing everywhere? Am I in France? And I'm like, no, you're in Connecticut. Or Connecticut. You're in Canada. We're talking about Connecticut now. But
right.
Yeah, so I've been blessed since I got out of the Marine Corps. That's when I did all my traveling, is post Marine Corps. And I've kind of been everywhere I wanted to go, but that doesn't mean I'm done. I still want to see other things. But there's places I've been to I'd like to go back. But my wife's whole thing is we've already been there.
Right.
Yeah, but
she wants to see something. She'd rather go someplace new.
She wants to see something different. So whatever.
But
the place I went to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you're good.
Well, the place that I went to that I honestly was not expecting to like, and that it's probably the Marine in me that's still quite active. Our honeymoon, we went to Paris, France, and I thought, I am going to absolutely hate that place, just because of the reputation that France is full of lovers, not fighters, and Marines are fighters, and I just
Right.
didn't think I was going to like it. But actually, I loved that place. It was absolutely fantastic. Beautiful city. The view from on top of the Eiffel Tower is phenomenal.
I bet that would be pretty fantastic. Now, when you went to Paris and saw the Eiffel Tower, were you? Because I had this experience at Disney. I want to see if you're having the same experience at the Eiffel Tower. Like, when you first saw it and you went up to it, you're like, oh, that's all that it is?
No, it was the opposite. Total
Oh, really?
opposite.
Okay.
You know, I had seen the Eiffel Tower in movies and TV and pictures, and I thought,
Right.
it's ugly. I mean, it's ugly. What's the big deal? But when I
Right.
was actually in Paris, standing next to it, looking at it, I said, "Oh my God, this thing is amazing." And then when I
Right.
got to go up in it, I thought, man, and you know, my mind, I think kind of weird. I'm an airplane guy. I love all things kind of aviation related. And I don't know
Right.
if you're aware of it, but guy who tried to invent a parachute.
Okay.
He invented a parachute suit, and he actually jumped off of the second level of the Eiffel Tower
Okay.
back in who knows when, like early 1900s, late 1800s, something like that. I don't know. But it didn't open, and he died, obviously, because that's high. The second
Right.
level
Yeah, for
is
sure.
high. Back in those days, it was grass underneath of it,
Right.
but still, there's a YouTube video. It's called "Inventors Who Were Killed by Their Inventions." He's in the video because he invented this parachute and it didn't work, but he tested it on
Right.
himself. I mean, at least he didn't build it and get some other schmuck to try it out for him. I mean, he did it himself. Took some big balls
Yeah.
to jump off because that is high. The second level is high.
Oh, for sure. For sure
But
it is.
and I say that little going back to my old soul. I like. You ever seen these? I watch a lot of these videos on YouTube. They're like then and now videos, and a lot of them have to deal with like World War II, where
Okay.
it shows like half of the picture was taken in like 1943, and you see like soldiers and stuff, but then the other half of the picture is modern times, so you like see people walking around doing their business, not realizing that a soldier died right there on the sidewalk where they're
Yeah,
standing. They
right where
don't
you're
even know.
standing,
They're just
basically.
walking
Yeah.
by. Things like that I just find those interesting. I love watching like then and now things like that.
Yeah,
And
those are cool.
Paris is a very historical city. A lot of things have happened there, and I loved it. I want to go. Well, actually, we are going back, only because
Right.
my older son is taking a school trip over there for spring break, so we decided to
Oh, nice.
make it a family vacation, and the rest of us are going to go over there and not be a part of his group, but we'll be there.
Right. That's cool. I do
So I'll get
know,
to see it again.
speaking of the Eiffel Tower, there was a guy, I read this a couple years ago. I can't remember, maybe it was in like Reader's Digest or something. Um, there was a guy who actually sold the Eiffel Tower twice. This guy does not own the Eiffel Tower, but he sold it twice. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I'll have to look it up. Basically, he was telling people that he was a business partner of the Eiffel Tower, and they were getting rid of it, so they were trying to sell it for scrap metal. So this guy sold it twice to for millions of
Wow.
dollars. So these guys, the scrap dealers would come. They were gonna tear it down and use it for scrap metal. The guy sold it twice and didn't even own it. I'm like, what kind of a freaking? You've got to have a pretty keen business sense to be able to convince people that you own something that's worth that much money. Now this comment's really exciting, Brian. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, the SR-71.
I got to
That
see
is
the
an amazing
SR-71
aircraft.
land and take off several times in Alaska in the early 80s. The comm command would page me when it was coming in. That would be super cool. I've never seen an SR-71 in flight. I've seen one on the ground before, but I've
here's
never
the whole
seen one in
thing.
flight.
The whole thing about the SR-71. Vanessa probably knows more than I do about this, but so in World War II, the United States did not have a single jet aircraft. Everything was propeller.
Right.
The SR-71 was actually thought up in the 50s. So guys using like slide rules and frickin' abacuses, I mean, ancient technology came up with an airplane that could fly so fast. They still to this day won't tell you how fast that thing flew.
It was
And
fast,
the look
man.
of it, I mean, if you look at that airplane compared to everything that was designed in that time period,
right.
it completely is alien. and by alien, I'm not talking about UFOs. I'm talking about it
Right.
is, like the old Sesame Street. One of these things is not like the others. There was not an airplane that looked anything remotely similar to that for a
Right.
long time. That's how far ahead the designers were of that thing. It's amazing. I mean, those pilots didn't wear flight suits. They wore astronaut suits because that thing flew high and it flew fast.
Right.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, well, because it could fly right at the edge of space, I think, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it could get up to that altitude and maintain. And I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Vanessa would know. I think that still holds the speed record for an aircraft. Not counting the space shuttle, obviously, because the space shuttle goes up in space and that's got the record right there. But I think that's the fastest like jet that there is, if I'm not mistaken.
And let me tell you this. So in the airplane world, in the military world, let's just say, fighter aircraft are sexy. There's not an ugly fighter aircraft. I worked on attack aircraft, which is bombers. Bombers can be, not so attractive. But I'm such an aviation nut, like now even civilian airliners, there are sexy ones. And of course,
Right.
if I asked Joe Blow on the street, hey, is this a sexy airplane? They'd be like, what do you mean? It just looks like an airplane. What are you talking about? That's because
Right.
when you're a nut, when you're an airplane nut, the littlest thing about airplanes excites you, and that's
Sure.
me.
Absolutely.
I got lucky that the Marines made me an airplane guy, and it was just something that I fell in love with, and it makes
right. That's
one of the things nice, that when you love your job, it's nice.
Oh, for sure. Listen, I think I talked about this maybe on my last live or the one before. When I was younger, I was in Air Cadets because that was my big plan for my life when I was a young teenager. I wanted to be a fighter pilot. I wanted to be an F-18 pilot. I wanted to fly, the best jets that there were. So I know a bit about planes, not a ton, but I was a bit of a plane buff. Now, me personally, my favorite plane has always been the F-4.
That's a sexy airplane.
Once again, it's a
fighter. It's a fighter.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it was loud and it always had black smoke coming from it, and you could see it from a mile away. But God, I love that aircraft. So that's one of my favorites.
So the airplane I worked on in the Marine Corps, I worked on two, same family, two different roles. The two-seater, which most people, when they think of a military aircraft, they think of a two-seater like you have a pilot in the front and a weapons officer or somebody else in the back. So they sit, like this. But the airplane I worked on, they sat side by side. So the two-seater was called an A6 Intruder, and it was a side-by-side configuration for the pilots.
That's the first plane I thought of when you said that.
The other plane was the family car version. It was the EA6B, which is a four-seater. So you had them sitting, two side by side in the front, and then in the back seat there was two more guys in the back. It's not sexy by any means, but it was highly effective. It could hold a ton of ordnance, and it made me feel good because when I was in, they tried to get rid of it because that's 1950s technology too. And they tried to get rid of it with a more modern airframe, which they wanted to go with the F-18, which is a super sexy airplane. But and the thing about F-18s are they're not fighter and they're not attack. They're both. It's called an FA-18. It's a fighter and an attack. It just couldn't hold the same amount of ordnance. And by ordnance, I mean weapons. It couldn't hold the same amount of bombs. The A6s could hold a whole lot of weight in bombs and still fly. But the downside was there was no air-to-air capabilities on it. So if a bad guys sent some fighters after it, they were going to shoot it down. So they always had to have escorts, which are fighter aircrafts that fly alongside the bombers to make sure the bombers don't get shot out of the sky. Whereas F-18s wouldn't have that problem because it could carry bombs, but it could also fight off any airborne attacks. But the problem is they just couldn't hold as much ordnance, so they kept it. So the whole time I was in the Marine Corps, they didn't phase them out. They kept them. And even though I always tell everybody she wasn't the prettiest girl at the dance, but she knew how to dance. So very effective, not pretty. You know, it's the fighter guys. Those are the cocky. I mean, they have every right to be cocky because they're playing sexy.
Sure.
Like, look what I got. I'm like, look what I got.
That's right.
But, you know,
I fly this.
Love,
what are you flying? Like, what are you flying? You know? Yeah. So Vanessa was saying pilots get their astronaut wings when they fly the SR-7. I did know that, and I forgot. Thank you for bringing that up. I actually forgot that they do get that because they can fly. Because they do fly so freaking high. That's for sure. I got to go back through all these comments I got sitting here.
C5s.
C5s are fun.
Talking about C5s.
That is
Galaxy.
That is a huge, massive plane. I've been inside one on the ground.
You could put a football field inside a C5. I'm serious. Those things are huge. And here's my crazy story about F5. So back during Desert Storm, I was stationed in Cherry Point, North Carolina, and Marines don't have C5s, but the Air Force flew some in. They were loading helicopters and tanks onto these aircraft. And, you know, a tank, we're not talking 4 tons or 10 tons. Tanks are insanely heavy. And they were driving these tanks on a C5. And I said, there's no way that thing's going to take off. There's no way.
Oh, yeah, there is.
C5 would just take off and fly. And it's like, man, those are some, of course, the wing, the what is it? Like the square footage of the wings is so massive. There's so much lift. You know, you got the C5, which is the Galaxy. It's a big one. Then the Air Force also has a C-17. I believe they call that the Star Lifter. It's another big airplane that can carry a lot of stuff. Marines, we don't fly big airplanes like that.
Right. Yeah, that C5 is a monster. I got to walk inside one. I was at an air show once, volunteering when I was in Air Cadets, and we got to walk. I'm like, this thing is freaking massive. Like, are you kidding me? Like how many? Like I said, you can throw a couple tanks in there, you know, a Jeep or two, a bunch of ordnance, some supplies, and just drop them out the back. Like, what a massive plane.
Well, you know, when the pilots get on, they don't just walk into the cockpit. They got to freaking climb a ladder, and it's not a 10-foot ladder. It's like a ladder, you know. They got to get way up in there to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're just beast of machines. And it's funny, like if you have a C5 that let's say it's going down the runway and it takes off, blah blah blah, and you're in just like a regular plane, like you have to wait. Like there's like a delay depending on the size of your aircraft that you're flying, because the C5 the wing, the vortices, which is the twisting wind that comes off the end of the wings, is so strong. Like if you're in a smaller plane, like you have to wait until that stuff dissipates before you can take off. Because it can, because like you said, it creates so much lift with those wings, and those vortices will just rip your plane apart if you try and take off after it. So we got Dave's TV in the house. What is up, Dave? Good to see you, my friend. Always good to see Dave. Dave just started his Advent calendar today too.
I saw the
started
thumbnail.
mine. I have not watched it yet, Dave, but I will get. I know you watched mine. But I will get to yours. I was trying to kind of set up for this, and I had a bunch of stuff I had to do around the house. I got a kind of a busy weekend this weekend, so I was trying to get some stuff organized at the house. But I will watch it actually probably right after this live. I hope it was a good beer.
I have a couple hours of free time tomorrow morning that I can catch up on a few videos.
Yeah, and that's my problem. Sometimes I'll get busy. Well, much like all of us. I mean, yeah. Well, life gets in the way sometimes, and sometimes I'll get behind like a week on videos, and like you or Dave or Alan, like you'll have, I'll be commenting on videos from like 5 videos ago, and then you'll notice like every 7 minutes or every 10 minutes there's a new comment as I work my way through the list, and then I go down to the next guy, and then I start working on theirs. it's just it happens. But I will get to yours today, Dave. I'll watch it right after our live here tonight. Ever see the Christmas tree of alert B-52s all take off at once during an active, not a drill event? No, I have never seen that.
I have not.
A bunch of
Shane?
B-52s taking off at the same time? That'd be kind of cool to see,
Shane,
though.
don't know if you know this. I know B-52s. That's another Air Force plane but I'm an aviation nut, so I know a little thing. I know a few things about a few things when we're talking about airplane.
Right.
But the cool thing about B-52s, because that's a huge airplane. I mean, that's got a humongous wingspan on it. It's friggin' huge. But those things, sometimes when the wind is blowing across the runway and you see airplanes coming in, and it's called crabbing when they come in. It looks like they're coming in kind of angled or, to the side a little bit.
Yeah, from the
people
crosswinds.
Freak out about that. They're like, oh my God, what's it going to be? Well, B-52 is actually the gear, the wheels can turn. So it could, most airplanes, like a civilian airliner, if it comes in and it's crabbing right before it touches down, they square the wings up and touch down.
Yeah,
but a B-52 doesn't have to do that. It can land in a crabbed configuration because the wheels can be straight. So when it touches down, it doesn't,
I did not know
rip
that.
the tires off the rim,
That's cool. I did not know that. Like I said, because I've seen a ton of videos. Like, you can go on YouTube and look for extreme crosswind landing, and you'll see these big airliners, and they're literally coming in sideways.
Yeah.
Because the crosswind's so strong at the last minute, they snap it over and land it. And kudos to those pilots that can do that, because that's not an easy task, to do it all. That's for sure. Vanessa's saying, during Desert Storm, we flew from Hawaii directly to Westover Air Force Base. Over 9 hours, played football in the belly. The pilots. Yeah. See, there you go. I'm assuming she's referring to the C5 still. Yeah, there's enough room to play football in there. It is freaking just a massive. If nobody's ever seen the inside of a C5, go Google it. It is massive.
That's the cool thing about the C5 is it got the ramp that goes down in the back, but then the nose, the whole cockpit and everything, it hinges.
Yeah,
up.
that all lifts up too. Yeah,
like a hollow tube. You can just drive in there.
It's such a massive freaking plane. Westover Air Force Base, best asset is the winter time. Allows the C5 to be massively overloaded due to the dense air in winter. Yeah, I never even thought of that. Because the air is denser in the winter, right? So you could overload the plane, I guess. That makes total sense. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, when I worked at the Miami airport, in the summertime there, you can watch the airplanes struggling to take off because it's so hot. The air is so thin down there, just due to the heat. It's all expanded. There's not much density to the air, and it's like the jets are screaming to try to get up in the air. They do. It's just things you notice.
They're working hard. Westover a couple of weeks ago had almost 20 C5 Galaxies sitting on the tarmac. Wow, can you imagine that? That's just like that's if you're looking at 20 C5s, that's like as far as the eye can see, basically.
Yeah,
because these planes are so massive.
It makes me wonder, like, how many C5s does the Air Force have that they have 20 in one spot? Because certainly they don't have them all in one spot.
Well, no, I mean, they probably have a few here, a few there, right? There's probably not just a central base for them. Dave's saying, not sure the name, but flew in a plane that opens up at both ends. That was probably a C5. From Cherry Point to Guantanamo Bay. Big ass plane. That's probably a C5, Dave. I'm guessing.
Dave was in Cherry Point. He didn't even bother to call me because we didn't have cell phones back in those days. But
right. And Guantanamo Bay. Hey, you actually went to Cuba. That's probably the one and only time you can go to Cuba, being American. I was there in May, by the way, because I'm a Canadian. I'm allowed to go anywhere I want.
I'm sure the part that Dave got to see was not nearly as nice as the part you got to see.
No, probably not. Probably not, unfortunately. 8 B-52s taking off seconds apart. There are nuclear bombers in that Xmas tree alert bed. That would be super awesome to watch, even if they were just just this, and the sound would just be amazing. I get really excited when I watch big planes take off, just that just the massive noise that they make and how loud they are. That excites me. It really does. If you ride in a C5, you are up next to the front of the tail facing rear forward because that jet flies nose down as well. Boy, it's such a massive plane. It's got to. It's got to. Did you see that Alaskan? Oh, damn it. Hang on. Let me go on this side because it's easier to read on this side. Did you know that in Alaska at Shimei Island Air Force Base, a C-5 crash landed in the early 80s? No, I didn't. I did not know that. That would have been, God, freaking mess.
Mm-hmm.
Dave's saying definitely not. That C-5 came in too low, and the landing light towers sheared all the. Oh my God, sheared the landing gear off of it. Jesus, because there's the landing lights before the runway. I believe that's what she's talking about, the landing lights, and it came in too low, and it sheared off the landing gear because it was coming in too early. Man, that would have been freaking awful, man. I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't have wanted to have been anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Nowhere near it. That C-5 had a U.S. Senator and 200 pine trees. Those trees are the only ever national forest to be inside a jet in a plane crash. That's kind of neat. I mean, it's not neat that the plane crashed and there was, people died on it, but that there was an actual 200 tree pine forest in a plane crash. That's kind of just think about that, people. For people who don't know, 200 pine trees inside a plane. Think about how big that is. That is a lot. Each C-130 brought one set part of those. Yeah, I love the C-130 too. That's a pretty cool plane. That is a pretty cool plane.
Well, the best
like
C-130 is the Spectre, which is a gunship.
Right. C-130. They do a lot of work too. That's a workhorse. I mean, we have quite a few of them up here, like the C-130s. That's our workhorse plane for the Canadian military. Because
mostly it's for transport reasons. It transports equipment or people. But yeah, the C-130 gunship. They call it the tornado of death because it just flies in a circle up there and it's shooting. And there's a time lapse photo with because with tracers, I want to say it's like every fourth round was a tracer. So when it's flying in that loop and it's shooting, it actually makes a cone of death.
Oh, right. That makes sense. Yeah, I've always liked the C-130. And I don't remember the numbers on the Buffalo, which is similar. It's similar to the C-130, but it's only got two props instead of four.
Is it props or is it jet engines?
No, it's prop. It's
okay.
props. It's a Buffalo. It's kind of like the C-130, but it's two. I can't remember the numbers on it. God, I feel like such an idiot now.
C-130, the regular C-130s in the Marine Corps, that's a Hercules.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, the Buffalo is much like the Hercules. It looks very similar, except for it's a 2-prop instead of a 4-prop. I just can't think of the freaking name of it, like the numbers for it. I could look it up here, but I'm not going to. That's okay.
The engines for the C-130, was that called a PT-6?
Could be. I'm not 100% sure.
The squadron that I was in the Marine Corps, Squadron 14 in Cherry Point, but all of us power plant guys, we had separate buildings we worked in, but we were all in the same squadron, just different. Like my shop was called 41 Alpha, and the C-130 guys were 41 Lima. But we were all power plant guys, and it was a PT-6, but then we had the Harriers. If you're familiar with the Harrier, that's the jet that can hover.
Yep.
That was the Pegasus engine. The AV8B, I think, is the version they had when I was there. Airplanes just really tickle my fancy, because
that'll interest you, Brian, right there. That comment. My oldest sister is a retired United States Air Force, and she built the engines for the C-130.
And if I'm not mistaken, that's a Rolls Royce. Is that a Rolls Royce engine?
I believe it is on the C-130.
I think
it is Rolls Royce. Yeah, I think you're right.
So back in my day, like I said, I was not a C-130 guy, but they were in my squadron. They were 4-prop. But now, I don't know. I don't even know if Vanessa knows because she's been retired. I don't know how long she's been retired, but if she's 49, she's been retired for a minute. Last time I went to Cherry Point was in 2007, and all of the C-130s had like six bladed props or something. They added more blades to the props.
Right. Dave's saying the Warthog is definitely badass. I love the A-10. That is an amazing aircraft.
He's talking. Everybody's talking Air Force airplanes. We
Yeah,
shot
well,
a Marine airplane some love.
It's at like the A6 and what else they got? I don't
they
even
fly
know
F-18s. I didn't. The F-18
okay.
guys, they were stationed in Hawaii.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That had to absolutely suck being stationed in Hawaii. I mean, I can't imagine the horror of that. Oh, geez.
Oh, yeah. The warm weather all the time. Yeah, that would be terrible. That would be terrible. Vanessa's sister also did most of the maintenance tech orders for the then yet to be released F-22. Wow. She used to do maintenance tech for the Raptor. That is pretty freaking awesome. There's Dave saying Harrier jet. Okay. Yeah.
This is my opinion. This is just my opinion of the Harrier. If you're infantry and you're on the ground and you're toe to toe with the enemy and it's really, really bad, you'd love to look up and see a Harrier hovering over you, taking care of the problem.
Right.
As an aviation guy, I can tell you, on my base alone in Cherry Point, there was a crashed Harrier in every hangar. They didn't like to stay up in the sky. It's a single engine aircraft that hovers. I mean, anything goes wrong, it's dropping.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think because my aircraft had two engines, but it didn't hover, but it could lose an engine and still fly, as most twin engine airplanes can. They're designed to fly on one, but they have two.
What is the name of that plane? I think I know the name of it, but I'm not sure. It's like a fixed wing plane. It's a dual prop, but the whole wing rotates. I think it's called an Osprey.
Osprey.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, the Osprey.
Yeah.
Just when we were talking about hovering, I think it was called the Osprey. Yeah.
I think they call that the V20. Is it the V-22?
It could be.
It's weird. And actually, when I joined the Marine Corps, that's what I wanted to work on because I thought, okay, it's an airplane, but it's a helicopter.
Right.
But that was another one in the early stages. Those things crashed a lot.
Oh yeah.
One of my buddies I was in the Marine Corps with, he works actually for Rolls-Royce, and he's the Osprey tech on a Marine base.
Right. It's just funny.
The Air Force just lost one over in Japan on Wednesday, I think. But those things, the prop is so big on it, they can't land with the wings forward. The engine has to be tilted at like a 45-degree angle. Otherwise, the props are going to strike the runway when it tries to land.
Right. It's such a weird kind of design. And once you start getting more moving parts into something that already has a million moving parts, that's just one more thing. Like, oh, check this out. The malted gentleman's in the house. What's going on, Josh? Thanks for stopping by, brother. I appreciate it, man. I'm just chilling out here with Brian TheBeerSnob, who you know. Really quickly,
Josh,
I know that. Go ahead, Brian. Yeah.
I was just going to ask Josh: is he making plans to attend the 3rd annual get together up in Niagara Falls, Canada, in July?
He should. It would be awesome if Josh.
It'd be awesome if he could come. Yeah, I did. Sure. I did put my name in the books for. So I'm off. And if you need me to come up a day or two early or stay a day or two late to help you clean up, whatever, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think we'll talk about that more as we get closer. But yeah, I think me and Ray got it pretty much under control, I think. But hey, if you want to come up a day or two early, you're more than welcome, Brian. You know that, absolutely.
I'm getting thirsty.
We'll figure it out.
I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick, and then I'm going to go over there and get me another beer.
Sure.
And I will be right back.
Sure. Also, I'll solo this for a little bit. It's my channel after all. I suppose I probably should. Okay, first of all, when you're doing stuff like this, don't hit the damn mute button instead of going into the solo layout. So anyway, thanks, Josh, for coming by. Everybody else who's out there, if you guys have any questions for myself or Brian, feel free, especially you guys who maybe don't know Brian very much. Ask him a question about anything. Ask me a question about anything. I really don't care. That's basically what this channel is going to be about. I'm going to have a special guest every week, and they will be co-hosting me between 7 and 10. This week we had to go 8 to 11 because of some previous commitments Brian had. But yeah, come and join us. You're gonna meet a new brew tuber every single week. Any of the other guys like Josh and Dave, I've already talked to Dave about this. Josh, if you're interested in coming on and co-hosting with me one night, get a hold of me. Just leave me a comment. Get a hold of me at my email address if you want. Shane's Craft Beer Review at gmail.com. And we'll hook up a day. And I would love to have you on as a co-host for the night, buddy. It'd be super awesome to talk to you, and definitely do some plans and think about coming up here in July. You know, I'm going to exit my solo layout because I can't tell if Brian's coming on. But I will. Dun dun dun. I'll just leave him there. Screw it. Whatever. Hey, there he is. He's back anyway. So yeah, definitely think about coming up, Josh. We would love to have you, man. It's a great time. This will be our 3rd annual one that we've done. You get to come up to visit Niagara Falls, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. So definitely check that out. It'd be super, super awesome to have you up here, buddy, for sure. Dave's saying they're horrible. The Osprey, several Air Force were killed. Yeah, it's not like I was saying earlier, Dave. Once you get a plane that has 1 million moving parts already, and now you've added more moving parts to it, that just always says nothing but trouble. It's a cool looking plane. It does some cool stuff, but it's I mean, maybe from a maintenance standpoint, like Brian would know a little bit more than I would. Probably like just a disaster. Vanessa saying hi to Josh. What's going on? He's also, we kind of already have a vacation planned at the same time. Well, you know what? It's not going to be as cool as coming up to Niagara Falls and hanging out with me and Brian the Beer Snob and like Mallory and Chew and Nutmeg 2 Palmetto and, beer for breakfast, facts for snacks, because everybody wants to meet him to see if he's really as crazy in real life as he is on his videos. And I can attest that, yes, he is. We got here. It's raining up here in Massachusetts, and it has brought my cell phone signal down to 4G. That sucks. I'm good for the following Friday, the 8th. Damn it, did I miss something there? Oh, the 8th of the January you're talking, Dave? Is that what you're talking? Sorry, let me write that down. Is that even January the 8th? Or, no, next week is the 8th, right? Yes, you want to go on next week? Yes, I will message you later because I don't actually have a guest for next week. I have a guest for the following 2 weeks. But if you can be on next week, Dave, that would be awesome. I'll message you after the live, and we'll talk about that a little bit. For sure. Like I said, so if anybody out there, again, because there hasn't been no interview. What? No interview? You don't want me to interview? Come on, this is fun. I won't do an interview on you then, Dave. That's fine. Again, if anybody has any questions for me or Brian, throw them in the chat. Nobody has asked us a question about anything. So what I'm going to do, Brian, is I'm going to ask my next question because Christmas time is coming up. And I know, I mean, our countries are very, very similar. But what kind of things does like your family do at Christmas? Like, is there any different traditions that you personally do that might be kind of interesting or maybe different than maybe what I do? If I got you muted, I probably have you. Hang on a second. I think I might have you muted, Brian. I do. Sorry. There you go. You're good.
That's why you weren't responding when I was talking earlier.
Yes, that's right.
So
you're good.
I am all about not skipping holidays.
Okay.
So I know I saw Christmas stuff up in the stores before Thanksgiving. I don't like that. I want to get done with one holiday before I even think about the next one. But my wife is very eager to move on from Thanksgiving to Christmas. So for years, she tried to get me to go out on Black Friday. And I'm like, I don't like going to the store when I'm the only one in there. Why would I want to go when there's 10,000 people fighting over a TV? I don't want to do it.
Exactly.
I see the thrill for other people, but that is not a thrill for me. And I said, now that you can order stuff online anyway, and you get like Cyber Monday deals, I'd much rather just order it and have it sent to the house and then not go in that mess. But so we made a compromise because she liked to go out into Black Friday. So we still go out on Black Friday, but all we do is we go and buy a Christmas tree. We get a live tree. That's our thing. Is we have 3 boys, and it rotates from year to year which son gets to pick the tree.
Okay, so that's cool. That's a cool system.
That's what we do. We come home. My job is to get it in the tree stand, and then that's the end of my obligation. They decorate it. They decorate it. And so that's the first one. The second one is on Christmas Eve. We get to open one present. So you get to pick which present under the tree you want to open, unless my wife decides, no, you need to open this one. Then you have to open that one.
Right.
But we do, we take Christmas photos with Santa every year. So on December 6th, we're going to be going, and we have our appointment to go take our picture with Santa. But every year, my wife wants us to wear matching outfits. So every year is different.
Oh, no.
We save those.
No, not that. Anything but that.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that becomes our Christmas card as well. So we have it hanging. She hung it up yesterday. So we've got it only since we've had kids. So me and my wife, we got married in 2008. My oldest son was born in 2010 in August. So our first Christmas card picture with Santa was when my oldest son was just August, September, October, November. So he's 4 months old. And then we've got, all the Christmas. It's the same picture. It's just me and my wife kind of look the same. And the boys are just, oh, there's another boy. Oh, there's another boy. And then they're just getting bigger. And we're going to keep doing those until they're old, until they get their own families, because that's our tradition. So we go, hopefully they'll still be malls. I mean, because that's where we go. Malls are kind of rare these days, but that's where we go. We go to this mall to take our picture with Santa. And I like it because Santa knows me. And he knows I'm a simple man. So I always tell him, I say, Santa, I sure would like a new pack of socks for Christmas. And my kids are always like, why do you always ask for socks? And I'm like, do you not know the feeling of a brand new pair of socks on your feet?
Right.
It's like, once you've worn the socks a number of times, they don't feel good on your feet anymore. New socks just feel amazing. And I'm a simple man. I need simple things in my life. As long as I get a new pack of socks for Christmas, I'm good.
And it's funny that you say that, because as we get older, like when we're in our, maybe our teens, we're looking at, video games and computers and stuff like that. And when we get in our 20s, it's still kind of the same thing, but it starts to get a little bit more practical. And then once you get to our age, it's like, hey, yeah, I want socks and underwear. Maybe a new tie for my suit because my tie is getting all ratty. And we're more than happy with that. Like much like you, I get excited for new socks and new underwear. It's like, new stuff to put on.
As a kid, I used to hate getting clothes for Christmas.
Yes, me too.
I wanted a toy or something. I didn't want clothes. But now as an adult, that's the only time I get new clothes because I do not go clothes shopping. My wife loves Kohl's department store. I don't know if you have those in Canada.
The bookstore?
It's a woman's dream shop because when you go there and you buy, they give you a 20-foot long receipt and it tells you how much money you saved. Like my wife will come home and show me like, "Ooh, I saved $700." I said, "No, you didn't. You spent $500. You didn't save $700. You spent $500."
That's right. That's right.
But they give you these things called Kohl's Cash. Okay. And a couple years ago, when she took the boys' school clothes shopping, she had like $300 Kohl's Cash or something. She says, "Come on, we are going to Kohl's. You are getting new clothes because you have not bought new clothes since 1988. And she's not telling a lie. I said, but you should be thankful I can still fit in the clothes that I wore in 1988. And they're not holy. They're not bad. She's like, they went out of style 30 years ago. And I'm like, well, I don't like the new stuff. This will eventually come back in style.
But they're comfortable. If it's been around since 1988, it is comfortable as hell, I bet you.
She made me go friggin' clothes shopping, and I hated it because I felt like I was a school kid again. I couldn't pick out what I wanted and just buy it. I had to go in a dressing room, try it on. I had to come out. I had to spin around. I had to walk around so she could look at it and say, no, I don't like that. And I'm like, it's just pants. I like it. What's the big deal?
Like, what does it matter?
Take them off. Go get something else. And I'm like, oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, I went through kind of something semi-similar. I was talking about, we went to one of our friends' 50th birthday parties just 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And my wife had bought a couple of different new tops for I think she bought three different tops to wear to this party. And she's like, oh, she goes, you know, I got to try these on. Why don't you come and tell me what you think? I'm like, just wear whatever you think looks good. Because I don't care. I know it's going to look good on you. Just throw it on. And then so she's like, oh, what do you think of this one? And what do you think of this one? And what do you think? So I'm, you know, like, oh my God, I got to sit here and look at you, you know, in three different outfits. And of course, the one that I picked, I said, oh, I like that one. That one's the best out of the three. She's like, oh, she goes, I don't like this one.
Yeah.
She goes, I was thinking about taking it back. I'm like, well, if you were thinking about taking it back, why did you buy it in the first place?
Well, here's
like, I never understood that.
Here's the thing. My wife is never opposed to me buying her clothes or anything. She tells me her size.
Right.
So I bought her some clothes. I mean, what's the definition of clothes? I mean, it's just something you wear, right?
Yeah.
Apparently, the only clothes that I buy her is lingerie. She's like, why do you always buy this? And I'm like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, it's clothes.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's clothes.
I bought this because I think it will look good on you, honey.
I told her, I said, you know, I bought you some clothes like months ago, and I don't think you've ever worn them. She's like, you didn't buy me anything. And I said, yeah. She goes over to the dresser, starts pulling on drawers. She's like, what's this? And, oh, you did buy this for me. I was like, yeah, and I haven't seen it yet. I took time out of my day to look at a lingerie site and buy it, and I didn't even get to see it. You know,
right? And that's the worst part, because I like, for me, I'm like, if I go into like a women's lingerie store to buy, like, you know, I'm buying my wife underwear or, you know, bras or whatever, like, I got no problem doing that. But for some guys, it's a real struggle to buy, like, you know, like intimate kind of stuff, even just like underwear for your wife. That's kind of like I don't want to buy, you know, underwear.
I don't mind it, but the thing is, it's always so cliche, because, you know, the thing about women's sizes is it doesn't make sense. Like with a man, you know, for a shirt, you know, small, medium, large, extra large, it kind of makes sense. Pants, it's like your waist size and your inseam. So it's those are known numbers. But with women, it's like, oh, I'm a size 4 or I'm a size 0. What in the world does 0 even mean? And how can somebody be a size 0? Because that's nothing anyway. How can that be? So my wife tells me, she's like, oh, I'm a small size 4. And I'm like, 4 what? What does 4 mean?
That is so ridiculously accurate, Brian. It's not even funny.
Like if you go, like, you know, in the mall, I haven't been to the mall in a long time, but, you know, like Victoria's Secret's in there, and you go in there and it's like, oh, you know, and they see a single guy in there and they're like, you know, can I help you? And I'm like, I'm trying to find something for my wife. And like, oh, what size is she? And I'm like, well, she's not your size. No. So you're looking for some other lady in the store that kind of has the same. They're like, well, she's kind of built like that one over there. Like, oh, okay. They spit out a number, and I'm like, I don't know. I just take your word for it.
Right.
Do not buy it too big. If anything, buy it too small. Because if you buy it too big, I can't believe you think I'm a size 16. And I'm like, well, what the?
Well, it's and you're right. It's the women's sizes is so confusing. Like I don't know what a size 2 is. I don't know what a size 15 is.
Yeah, because what are they talking about? 2 what?
Like, no idea.
I mean, is it 2 feet around. I don't know what it means.
I have no idea. Maybe Vanessa can shed some light on that. Do you have any idea why they do the women's sizes like in numbers like that, Vanessa? I don't know. I think she's the only woman that's watching right now, as far as I know. Maybe she would know. I don't know. Like I said, with guy stuff, it's like just a measurement. Like Brian said, small, medium, large, or your pants is like a 36, 34.
Yeah.
Really simple. Really super simple. Oh, hey, this is just going to throw a big monkey wrench in everything. The size charts vary by every single women's clothes manufacturer. So if you get a size 5 from, I'm just going to throw it like Louis Vuitton, and get a size 5 from, I don't know, Tommy Hilfiger, they're different. Like, what the hell? Like, shouldn't that be like a standard?
Women love shopping so much they don't mind going in and trying on 100 different pairs of pants or shirts or whatever. But I'm a guy. I don't got time for that. I just want to go in. This is my size. I don't even want to try it on. I know it's my size. It says it's my size. I trust it. I'm just buying it and walking out the door with it. Then I get home.
That's right.
Yeah, these are mismarked. There's no way these don't fit.
Right. It's exactly. It's a 5-minute shopping experience. You walk in, you get a pair of jeans, like whatever your size is, 34, say, like, yeah, these are what these are. Throw them in the cart. Off you go. You're checked out. You're back in the car in less than 5 minutes. You know, that's the way it should be. So Vanessa's saying, okay, when you hear, say, 22 women's size, what top size is that? Extra large and such. 22 waist is better than, say, larger actual waist measure. But wouldn't just say extra large? Why do you got to say like 22? I think your size number sounds better than actual waist size measurement. But that's now you're kind of getting into yeah, but it's kind of like that's almost like an ego thing. Well, maybe it's not an ego thing. Maybe that's not the right word I'm looking for. Because like instead of a woman saying, "Oh, I'm like a 36-inch waist," no, I'm an 8 or something, right? Because the number's smaller, so it makes them sound skinnier. Just be proud of who you are, no matter what size you are. Like just whatever. It doesn't even matter. That's see, now you've this next comment just lost me. I wear a 22 top. Like, is that just like a shirt with like a bullet on the front of it? So, yeah. It's a shirt with a bullet on the front of it with the 22. It's a 22 top. That's what I get out of that. I have absolutely no idea what the hell that means.
Days, you can buy a brick at 22 for like nothing.
Right. Okay, so if you wear an actual 36-inch waist, they say 16. It's a size 16. But why? Why is it a size 16? I don't understand. Do they just like they take 20 inches off of it and that's what the size is? I have no idea. Top is, see, that I understand. Top is basically an extra large. I understand that. I know what size an extra large is. I get it. Every person on the face of the planet understands what extra large is. But every guy on the planet does not know what the hell a 22 is.
Yeah. And like I say, the thing that always blew my mind is there is actually a size in women's clothes called 0, which I have no idea how that's even possible.
That's naked, isn't it? Isn't that just naked? You just run around naked all day in a size 0? I'm naked all the time.
Hey, Dave, we'll see you in July.
Dave said, "No, I will message you later on, Dave, after the live, and we'll chat about next week. Thank you so much for filling in for me for next week. I appreciate it, buddy. I really do. Cheers." One must be careful. Oh, what did that say? Sorry, it just scrolled away from me. One must be careful if breast size space versus what the company publishes. I
guess that's the thing about women's bodies is how they're. I mean, they're like guys' bodies, but we just kind of just wear a single size shirt, whether you got muscles or you got a big belly. We just kind of wear the same shirt. Yeah, right. Sure, it looks better on some guys than other guys, but like with women, especially up top, I mean, there's all different sizes. Right. Now, I'm going to throw this out there just because I'm going to throw this out there. I'm an all natural kind of guy. I don't like fake.
Right.
Don't like fake. You see a really skinny woman and she's like got super big boobs. I know that's fake, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I would rather them
It looks weird.
have smaller boobs and be real than have big boobs and they're fake, because I don't like that.
Right, because because it looks weird. It looks disproportional, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like, hey, there's great big set of boobs. Like those are probably like $7,000, but hey, you don't look right. That's not
Yeah.
I'm with you, Brian. I prefer more natural looking, no matter what size they are, whether they're really big, really small. Just hey, you can just tell that they're natural, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I can
and
see.
it's, well,
Go ahead.
the sad thing is, and just, the women that I've heard talking about such a, they think they act like all men are boob men. And I do like boobs, but men come in two categories, and you're either a boob guy or an ass guy.
Right.
Of the two, you can have small boobs, but if you got a flat ass, that's a deal breaker for me. I don't like a flat ass. So you gotta have an ass for me. That's just me. Some guys are I don't care if her ass is flat as long as she got big boobs. Okay, those are for you.
Right.
The ass are for me. That's just me. We're all different. Not all guys are boob guys, so you don't have to spend 10 grand on new boobs to get a guy. That's not. There's plenty of guys that don't care about
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. And really, most of us don't, honestly. Yeah. Oh, hey, they're fun to look at, but it's like, yeah, I always find that unless you have like, and this is just my opinion, so don't unsubscribe from my channel, please. If a woman has like super, super small breasts, like almost non-existent, and they get just that little bit, like maybe go up to like a B cup or something, just so they feel better about themselves. Because I actually had a girl at work. She doesn't work with us anymore. She was one of those girls like had like no boobs at all, and she got hers up. I think she got up to like a C or something, which is like a drastic change from
Yeah.
nothing. And they looked nice on her because she was a slightly bit bigger girl. Like she wasn't skinny. She was slightly bit. I don't like average. Maybe that's a better word. She's an average size girl. And I said, well, why are you getting that done? Like before she had them done, like, well, why are you getting that done? I said, I said, I don't mean to be nosy. I said, I'm curious because I don't know. And she's like, I think it would give me more confidence, because I'm very self-conscious about, my chest. And then after she got it done, I said, I'm like, oh, how'd everything go? And she's like, oh, good. I'm like, are you okay with them? She's like, yeah. She goes, I really like them. And then I asked her again a couple months later, and she's like, yeah. She goes, my confidence is now up here. Like again, they weren't huge. They were just like a C cup, so like an average basically size. But her confidence in herself went way up here, just from that little thing. I guess if that's okay, if that's gonna make you a more confident person, if that's what you need, I guess.
Yeah.
I call it twig sizes for tiny people. That must be the size 0 she was referring to. I do not enjoy unnecessary surgeries. I have to have too many life-saving surgeries such that I do not want anymore. I understand that. I would never. I don't think I would ever do an unnecessary surgery.
Yeah.
And most guys are probably like that. Most guys, I think, not all of them, but most of them are like that.
I didn't
because we don't
want to
need
have
Botox
my medically
or,
necessary surgery.
Oh, exactly, right?
But I'm glad I did, though.
Yeah, like
It saved my life, so I'm happy.
This comment here is a personal shot at me. My legs are almost taller than some guys. You're talking about me. I know you've never met me in person, Vanessa, but I'm pretty freaking short. Throw that out there. Josh says, I'm a nude guy. There's nothing wrong with that, my friend. There's nothing wrong with being a nude guy. See, I've never been I don't want to say I'm not a nude guy, but I appreciate lingerie.
I do too.
It's because it's that fine line that I actually think I like lingerie better than nude, because it leaves that little teeny bit to your imagination when they have like this, almost nothing on, but it's not nothing. And you get that little bit of imagination kind of going. I think that kind of is a little bit better than just, showing up. Not that if, my wife walked down nude, I mean, this live stream's ending right now, kind of thing. But yeah, I'm a big fan of like the lingerie for sure.
Well, you
A,
get so
a
much
little bit of
bang
something
for your buck, because like
for
for
sure.
me, I don't need an occasion. I can just buy the lingerie for my wife and give it to her, and she's like, why'd you buy me this? It's not our anniversary. It's not my birthday. Why'd you buy this? I'm like, why ask questions? Just go put it on and model it.
Put it
Isn't
on.
that what you use? Somebody buys you clothes, you got to model it, right?
That's
So
right.
it's like we both get something out of it. She gets the new lingerie, and I get to look at it. Yeah.
Right? And she can go and say, "Oh, my husband bought me new clothes." Right? All right, give me 1 second, friend. I'm just gonna grab a quick beer. I will be right back, sir.
I am now drinking this delicious Yingling traditional lager. I've yet to try their premium lager, but in Georgia they don't sell it. At least not near me. They don't sell it. We get the traditional lager, the black and tan. We get their what's their golden? They got the golden pilsner. I'm not a real big fan of the. I'm not a big pilsner guy.
No, me neither. That's fine. I don't mind the traditional Yuengling. I don't mind that at all.
Oh, I love
it. I have tried the black and tan. One of my buddies brought me up one not too long ago. I think I actually prefer the original version over the black and tan.
Well, but the thing about the black and tan is it's cheap. Like I usually get it in the bottles, and it's a 12-pack is like $10.
Okay.
Now, of course, if you pour it in a glass, it's not going to look like a black and tan because you've just poured it into a glass and it's all mixed together. When you make an actual black and tan, you can't just pour the lighter beer in and then the darker beer in, and it just stays separated. You have to use a method you basically have to float the darker beer on top of the lighter beer. You can do it by taking a big spoon and turning it upside down and kind of pouring it over it so it kind of gently goes. Yep. Or they actually sell a thing you can put in the glass that does that for you. But, a black and tan, the traditional one is a visual thing. It's meant to be looked at, and you're in the glass and you're like, it's black up here and it's not dark down here. But the thing is, if you buy the Yuengling black and tan and you're drinking it out of the bottle of the can and you don't see it, you're just getting the flavor. I like the flavor.
Right.
I do. I've had what restaurant is it that it's called a Black and Sam, because they use, I think it's Guinness and Sam Adams. I'm not a big fan of that one. For me, it's not I don't know if it's TGI Fridays or one of those restaurants has a Black and Sam, and I've tried it, and I didn't think that the Sam Adams went very well with it.
Right.
But the Yuengling Black and Tan, I think, is a superb tasting Black and Tan.
It wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I didn't mind it, but I like just the regular. I wish I could get the Yuengling up here like regularly. I unfortunately have to. I have to. I mean, I can just pop over to Niagara Falls, New York, which is probably a 40-minute drive to get over there and I can pick up as many as I want and bring them over. That's not a big deal. But it's just such a pain in the ass to have to go through customs and stuff. Like, yeah, I got a case of beer, and depending on who the guy is. Some brown ales are nice. I love
brown ales.
Brown ale.
I
love them.
Brown ales are so underrated. Everybody says, they all taste the same. I don't care. If it's a good flavor, I don't care if they all taste the same. I love brown ales. That little bit of roastiness with it, it's not over the top, like a stout or a porter, but it's got that roastiness to it. I love brown ales.
I do too. And I almost never find them up here. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't see too many of them.
Yeah.
And another style that I love that you don't see too much of. Luckily, I have a local brewery just 5 minutes from my house, and they keep one on. They're one of their first, because they have 4 tanks, so they can brew 4 beers at a time. And their inaugural 4 beers, one of them was an ESB.
Okay.
And when I went to the ground opening, I'm like, I can't believe you guys have an ESB. I mean, I love that style, and I think it's so underrated. You don't see it anywhere, at least in the United States. You don't see it. Those are extra
Right.
special bitters. It's not bitter. I mean,
No.
people who just drink like Miller Lite or whatever, they, oh, bitter. No, I don't like my bitter. Okay, and the ESB that's just an extra special bitter. It's not like IPAs are bitter. This is just it's a good tasting beer.
Mhm.
And they said it did so well that they've decided to keep it. They don't rotate it out. They
Right.
keep it because it sells so well. And I said, yeah, because all you got to do is try it, and you'll be like, wow, this is a nice. It's a
Mhm.
beer flavored beer. It's not wild and wacky. You're not going to get cucumbers or freaking water
Right.
chestnut flavors. You know, it's not one of those beers. It's a beer flavored beer, but it's just got a little certain something extra to it that is really a nice beer.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I don't get a lot of ESBs up here either, but I mean, I do get the occasional one, and they're great. But like the brown ales, like if I see a new one on sitting on the shelf, I'm just all over it
Oh yeah.
because they're so rare, and they're a good beer. And I don't know anybody. I haven't come across anybody who doesn't like a brown ale that's tried one. And I don't know why more breweries don't do a brown ale because, like you said, it's an underrated style, and it's almost like it's an untapped market because nobody really makes them.
Yeah.
They're so hard to find. So I'm surprised none of these breweries have come up and said, we're going to make this fantastic brown ale, um, and we're just going to start pumping it out like on a regular basis, not like a seasonal thing. Just pump it out every single day, and you'd be surprised, especially if they have a good distribution. Um, how well that's going to sell because guys, like us, we're just screaming for brown ales. Josh is saying ESB is sadly underrepresented. Yeah, ESBs as well, Josh. You're absolutely 100% right.
Yeah.
The Browns, the ESBs. I don't. It's sad when you get a style of beer, like I said, the Browns or the ESBs that you really like, and you can't find like let's say you see one can at the whatever your local bottle shop happens to be, and you're like, oh, you tried it, and like, oh, this is a fantastic brown ale. I got to go get some more, especially if you're newer into craft beers and stuff like that. And you go to get another one, but there isn't anymore.
Yeah.
There's just that one.
Yeah,
And
because
it's like,
if I tried like a brown ale from this brewery, and oh, that's good. Well, let me see what somebody else's, a different brewery, what their take is on it, and then you look and like,
exactly,
well, none of the other breweries around here are making it. It's like, I
exactly,
don't get that because it's simple. I get those people who say they don't like craft beers because it doesn't taste like beer. I mean, I get that. It doesn't make sense to me, but I get it because,
right,
I always use the analogy like, like, well, do you like vodka or tequila or rum? And they're like, of course I do. And I'm like, well, what do you drink with it? And like, oh, I like a rum and Coke or a screwdriver, vodka and orange juice. And I'm like, okay, so wait a minute, hold on. So you're telling me you drink it with other stuff in it, so it doesn't really taste like vodka. It tastes like vodka and orange juice, or it tastes like rum and Coke, or it tastes like,
right,
tequila and lime juice and salt or whatever. Okay, so you're giving the alcohol a different flavor. That's the same thing with craft beers. It's still beer. It just
right,
has other flavors in it. Still beer
right,
though.
right.
And some of the craft beers actually use orange juice. A German one that I tried. That was my
Yep.
first breakfast beer, Hofferschaffer or whatever. I can't remember what the name of it is.
Yeah, Hoppershopper. That's what I call
But
it
it
too.
was like
I know which one you mean.
2.5% alcohol, and it actually had orange juice in it. It's orange juice, like 50-50 mix of beer and orange juice.
Yep.
Tasted good. I totally get why it's a breakfast beer, but you can get IPAs that taste like they have orange juice in them with no orange juice because the hop variety they use gives it the flavor of orange juice. So all it's doing is these other, it's just giving it a different flavor, but it's still beer. So I love it. Once I got into craft beers, I was so excited. I just always want to try a new one now. It's
For
not
sure.
like the old me where I was a Coors Light guy forever, and then I was a Keystone Light guy, and then I was a Miller High Life
Oh,
guy. But the thing with the macros that a lot of the beer drinkers that really don't think too much about it, they try something, they like it, and they stick with it their whole life. They don't even
yeah,
they rarely will even try something else, and if they do, it's going to be a Bud Light or
right,
some other macro mass-produced beer that everybody's heard of, but you've never heard
right,
of Jimmy Joe's Brewery that's across town. And
right, exactly.
if you drink light beers, you don't want to go to a craft brewery and order a light beer. I mean, you don't want to do that.
No,
Craft beers are more expensive just because of the nature. They're not making as many, or the batches are smaller. It
exactly.
costs them more money to make these batches than it does Budweiser, who's making a bazillion gallons at a time and
Right,
canning it, and
exactly.
it's going out. It's like, I'm sure it's all computer controlled. You could pull a beer off the line at Budweiser today. You could pull one off 3 months from now, and it's going to be exactly the same.
Right,
Whereas with craft beers, they're making these batches. They make it. It's fresh. They can it. They sell it. Whatever. Now they got to make a whole new batch. Small
right,
batches. Are the ingredients identical? Probably not, because they're probably not using computer scales or anything. They got a guy who's dumping a bag of stuff in it. It says 50-pound bag of hops. Well, this one might have been 50.1 pounds, and the one in the batch before might have been 49.8 pounds. Who knows?
right.
But it's not going to be as consistent on the flavor. But that's okay, because what you're getting is fresh, because they're not bottling and canning this stuff and it's sitting on a shelf for 3 years.
Exactly.
This is
Yeah.
fresh stuff because
You're
these
right.
are small batches. So some stuff is worth paying, for. And I'm telling you, the flavors you'll get, and what I find, I like the alcohol content. If you ask people who've been drinking Bud Light their whole life, how much alcohol is in Bud Light, 90% of them, I guarantee you, won't have any clue how much alcohol is in a Bud Light, because they don't
Right.
care. They don't ever look at the can. They don't care. There's not much in there. I mean, you got to
Right.
drink a 12-pack before you even start feeling anything. So it's not much. But you go buy a craft beer and they're like, ooh, but that's $4 a can. I can get a Bud Light for $1.75 a can. I'm like, yeah, but you got to drink 7 of those.
Right.
This
Exactly.
here is 7% alcohol. I can drink
Right.
it, and I'm already feeling the effects on one can.
Yep.
You're not going to drink as much, but you're going to get more bang for your buck, really.
Yeah. And it makes more sense, especially as you get older, like you and I are, Brian. Like these kids that are in their 20s, maybe in their 30s, they just want to pound back as many Coors Lights as they can at one time, and be cool. Hey, look, I polished off a whole case by myself. Yeah, awesome. We're older. We don't need to do that.
Yeah,
We want
I don't want to
a high
run.
quality.
I don't need to
Go
run
ahead.
to the freaking bathroom every 5 minutes for the next 3 hours because I drank 27 Bud Lights. That's no.
Exactly. Like we just want a high quality, good tasting beer with that higher alcohol content, because we're only going to have one or two. We're not interested in having
Right.
15 beers in a day, because we're not 20 anymore.
Right.
We like that quality and that nice experience that you get out of a craft beer. And you try and convince these younger guys. I hate the fact that I can say younger guys. It makes me feel old. And say, hey, you know what, you need to try some craft stuff. But like I said earlier, I had the one guy saying, when I dropped off my rental car, he was like, oh, the craft beers are too bitter and stuff like that. Like, well, because you're probably trying a really hoppy IPA instead of trying, like a stout, or like a milk chocolate stout, or a session IPA maybe to start with. So you get a little bit of that bitterness, so you start to get used to it. But just the flavor of the craft beers is just so good, except for when they do like a Pilsner or a lager. Because I get so pissed off at craft breweries when they do a craft lager or a Pilsner, because instead of paying, because I can get Molson Canadian. I can get this for like $2.70. But if I was to get a craft lager, it's probably going to cost me like $3.50, maybe $4,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's really not much better,
Yeah.
if at all, if it is better. And like you said,
The
that's
lagers
because
and
of
pilsners at a craft beer place, I won't even buy it. I won't do it.
right, yeah,
And the thing I like about it, when you go to a brewery and you're looking on their board and you're seeing what they got, they come up with all these wacky, crazy names, but that's not what sucks me in to whether I'm going to buy it or not. Honestly, I look at the alcohol content.
right.
I don't like to go to a craft beer store or a brewery and get something that's less than 6%. I don't.
Yeah, because it's almost like a waste. Because you are,
Yeah.
like you said, you are paying that higher dollar value for a craft beer.
Yeah. So I
So
want more bang for my
get your
buck.
money's worth.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, we're only going to have 2, maybe 3 in a night. The higher alcohol, and just enjoy that flavor that's there, because that's the important part to us as we get older. Of course, I'm saying that as I'm sitting here drinking a Molson Canadian, but only because this is I don't know what your grow up beer was. Yours is probably Bud Light or Coors Light brand.
Me? It was Busch.
This is what I grew up with. Busch. Okay, I grew up with Canadian. Like when I was 19 years old, my uncle took me out to the bar on my 19th birthday, and we had a bunch of Canadians, had some flaming Zambuca shots, which I don't recommend, by the way. And it was just always like the macro. I'm talking 30 years ago. There wasn't a whole lot of variety 30 years ago. There was for us up here in Canada anyway. There was Molson Canadian, Coors Light, Blue, Labatt Blue.
Yeah.
I just happen to like Molson Canadian. I still drink it to this day, as you can,
Well,
you can see.
My town, back in the day, I remember hearing about, I drank, there's Bud Light, Coors Light, but the most popular beer in my town back then was Busch. And I'm not talking Busch Light. It was just Busch. Not that that's a heavy beer by any means. But,
right.
Yeah, it was Busch. We thought it was good, but like I say, if I give you, I don't know, any type of food product, let's just say Taco Bell. I give you a taco from Taco Bell. That's the first time you've ever tasted a taco. And that's what I give you. That is going to be in your mind what a taco tastes like.
Right.
So if you actually go to an authentic Mexican restaurant and they give you an authentic Mexican taco, you'll be like, that's not a taco. That's not what a taco tastes like. See, that's the whole thing. A lot of people, when they first get into beer, and probably that's in high school, because that's where most people that I know got into beer was in high school.
Yep.
Your first beer that you drank is going to be what beer tastes like for you. Some people think that's the one and they stay with it their whole life. Some people will say like, well, what's this beer taste like? And they'll try, oh, it's a little different, because like my wife, if I ask her what this beer or this beer, she's like, they taste the same, like beer. And I'm like, those are two completely different styles. There's nothing complete. There's nothing similar about how those taste. But to her, they both taste like beer. They're nasty because she's not a beer person.
Right. But if you stuck 2 bottles of wine in front of your wife, and said, what are the difference between these two, she would know, because I know your wife is a wine drinker. And she could tell you that
light beer. I got to go deposit some more light beer in the other room, so it can get
off you go, my friend. No worries. I'll mute you up here really quick. Hopefully, I'll unmute you later if I remember, unlike I did last time. So yeah, Vanessa, maple breakfast stout. Yeah, God, you just know the key words to get me excited. I love maple. Everybody knows I love maple. I just love it. I absolutely love it. My latest bread dough recipe has come out darn near perfect. I swear to God, I got to come to your house for like an entire weekend, Vanessa, and I'm gonna make you work. I'm gonna make you feed me all freaking weekend long. You're gonna make me some bread. You're gonna make me some squirrel. you're gonna smoke me some freaking, I don't know, whatever the hell it is that you want to smoke me. I will be more than happy to come and taste anything that you make for me, as long as it's not liver, because that's the only thing I will not eat. Black Label, never touched it again from the days way back. Black Label, hang on a second, Brian, I got you muted here. Let me get you back unmuted. There you go, sir. You should be good.
Black Label. I never
Black
knew that
Label.
was
Do
a
you remember?
Canadian brand, to be honest. I drank that back in the day.
It's you can still find it at some of the beer stores around here.
Well, it looks
I don't recommend.
fancier now. When I was in high school, it
the
was
can
a white
looks fancy.
can with a black label. Now it's a red can, I think, because me and TK, we reviewed that together up in his beer shed.
Oh, super. Yeah, I got to get down and visit TK one of these days, for sure. Vanessa says, I found a maple breakfast stout a couple years ago. Oh, so tasty. Have it with French toast. Yeah, why not? If you're going to have a breakfast, not that any of us ever drink beer at breakfast.
French toast stout, actually. I think it's Founders.
That'd be okay. A French toast stout? That would be all right.
I love French toast. Oh.
Vanessa Kitty, her uncles all drank Black Label in the 70s. Okay, match the taste to fermented ketchup. Yes, that's nasty. Yeah, that's fermented ketchup. Yeah, that sounds nasty. That does. I shouldn't say that. I've never actually had fermented ketchup, so I shouldn't say anything because it might be okay. Speaking of ketchup, I think I mentioned this on the last live that I did, maybe last week, or maybe I was on Rod J's channel. Somewhere up here in Canada, I haven't been able to find it yet, but they do a ketchup-flavored cotton candy.
Ooh.
And I've been looking for it because it sounds stupid and it sounds gross, but it might be just probably one of the tastiest things that you've ever had. So I
was talking to my sons tonight before the Christmas parade started, because one of my sons texted me and my wife the other day and said, "Whose chips are these in the pantry?" And my wife's like, "What chips are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, it says," and he said something, some word was in French and it said all dressed. I said, "Oh, those are those Canadian chips. I can't believe there's any left. Why are they still in there? Because that's been a while." He's like, "Can I eat them?" I said, "Yeah, eat them." So he ate them. And I said, "How did you like them?" He said, "Man, those are some fantastic chips." He's like, "Where'd you get them?" I said, "Well, those came from Canada." I said, "Do you want some more?" He said, "Yeah, I want some more of them all-dressed chips." I said, "What about the ketchup chips?" He's like, "I don't like the ketchup chips." And I'm like, "Why?"
What?
It's just like a French fry with ketchup, but it's a potato chip with
potato
ketchup.
chip.
He didn't like it, but I'll tell you what, I'm a big fan of the ketchup chip. My boys seem to like the all-dressed chips. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to get chips.
I'll get you hooked up, Brian. Don't worry. I'll hook you up.
I've been told that I need to get some maple cookies.
I'll hook you up with those two. Don't worry. I can send you a package, no problem. We'll get that. I'll get you hooked up, no problem. So we got Rod J in the house. Big sports night, so just swinging by to say cheers. Hey, nice to see you, Rod. Why is it a sports night? There's no football on Fridays, is there? I don't know. I'm Canadian. I don't watch football, as you guys know. What's going on in sports? Do you know what's going on in sports today, Brian? They don't usually play football on Fridays, do they? I know that's your big sport.
In high school, it's called Friday Night Lights. The high schools play football. But if you're playing at this time of the year, you're in the playoffs or whatever. Saturday, tomorrow is college football.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I don't know much about football, but I'm pretty sure they didn't play on Friday nights. So.
Well, I got some stuff going on tomorrow. I got some stuff going on tomorrow, so I'm probably going to miss the college football tomorrow, but that's okay. Because what I'm doing is going to be spectacular.
Well, that sounds absolutely fantastic then. As long as it's worth the excitement of missing the college football, then you're okay. And
Yeah.
maybe you can catch it later on in the week. Vanessa
Yeah.
says she loves all dressed chips or ketchup. Yeah. Do you get them down in Connecticut, Vanessa? Do you get the all dressed or the ketchup? I don't know if they sell them down there. Hang on. Well, why don't I go to the next message here? That'll probably explain a little bit. Sister-in-law bought the all dressed home tonight. Yeah. What brand was it? What brand were the all dressed? Let me know.
There was
well,
a chip brand here in the United States called Kerrs, as like Kerrs or something. And they had a ketchup chip like 20 years ago here, and everybody hated it. And to me, it sounded weird. I didn't get it, but I don't understand why I didn't get it, because it's just ketchup and potatoes, which is just like ketchup on French fries, which is delicious. Everybody puts ketchup on French fries. Why is it so weird to have ketchup on potato chips? And it's not like it's the wet ketchup. It's like powdered ketchup. It tastes fantastic.
Right.
Thankfully the Canadians get it, so they know it's ketchup on potatoes. Eat it. It's good.
Yep.
Because
it's no poutine.
Maybe a bag or two of those, and I love them. My kids think it's weird, but I don't think they're thinking it through, because they put ketchup on French fries, but they don't want ketchup on the potato chip. It's stupid. It makes no sense.
I know. Yeah, for sure. I'll get you hooked up with some ketchup chips and some all dressed chips, and maybe a couple of butter tarts or something.
Oh, those were fantastic. Those were homemade though. You didn't buy those in the store. Those are homemade butter tarts. I think you made those.
The ones I sent you, I can't remember. That was a while ago. The last time I sent you down butter tarts.
I think you said that those were homemade. You made those.
They might have been, because I have
those
tried.
Were fantastic.
Yeah, you can't beat butter tarts. Josh is saying this conversation reminds me of an episode of Letterkenny. Yeah, kind of.
You know what? I keep seeing on the YouTubes. You guys know about the YouTubes?
The YouTubes? I've heard of it.
There's another season of Letterkenny, but I can't get it. I watched Letterkenny on Hulu, but they only have up to season whatever it was, and I've already watched it. The new season is not available on Hulu. It's
really?
Addicted, and they pulled it out.
I hate it when places do that. Like, there used to be a show on, I think it was on Fox. It was called The Orville, and it was kind of like it was kind of like a Star Trek spoof.
What's his name though?
Seth MacFarlane.
Seth MacFarlane, yeah.
Yeah, and I watched the first. I think they did 2 or 3 seasons, and I actually enjoyed it. It was kind of I'm a big Star Trek fan, but it was kind of like a Star Trek. Yes, I said Bar Trek. Like that. If you haven't checked out Brian's Bar Trek video, go back in his catalog. That was like a year and a half ago, I think. It was a while ago. Definitely check that out.
That was a TV show that never was, but should have been.
Yeah, it was great. What's Rod J saying here? Oregon versus Washington tonight. So that is obviously college football.
Well,
I know that much.
I tell you what, there's some teams over on the West Coast that are really, really something.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I don't know a lot about football. I don't know a lot about football, but I knew those were college teams. Vanessa, maple sugar candy.
University of Nebraska, but I root for LSU Tigers. Go figure.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, look at me. Everybody knows I wear my Calgary Flames hat every single video. Well, 99% of the videos that I do. I've never been to Calgary. I was never born in Calgary. I've never been there, but I'm a Calgary fan, so I kind of get it.
I remember that video you did where you were wearing your Calgary Flames hat and your Shane's Craft Beer Review shirt, and you said that you were out and about and about. Remember that?
Out and about and about?
Yeah.
Out and about in a boat. Yeah, if I talk proper.
Great ideas. Your alone thing, fantabulous idea. Your doppelganger series, phenomenal. There's still a ton of people that you can doppelganger, and everybody that I know loves those doppelganger videos. And it's great. Like an honor when you are doppelganged. Is that what they call that?
It is.
If you're doppelganged, you've made it once you've been doppelganged by Shane's Craft Beer.
Right. Right. And I only do it to, and that's true, Brian, because I only do it to channels that I enjoy watching. Like I've done, I've done you, I've done, Drew, I've done Blue Ice. There's a
I've
bunch of
loved
guys
them
that I
all, but
really
I got
enjoy.
to tell you, Blue Ices was my favorite.
It is good.
That was
Now I do now have the stuff to do one for Dave's TV. He sent me some stuff that I asked him to send me so I could do his. I'm so into this like advent calendar thing right now. So I'm hoping maybe late January I will have Dave's doppelganger up finally.
yeah.
I
Thing
mean,
about
I've done
those
you.
advent calendars is, I haven't done one yet, and it's just because you got to do one every day. You got to do one every day, and I'm like,
well,
man, this is a
that's the problem.
busy time of year in my day job. It's a busy time of year because people want to go places and get there, and they're like, can you come work? And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, this is the time of the year to, because you either pay for the bill before it hits or you pay for it after. This is a good time to make money to pay for the bills because Christmas is an expensive holiday, so.
I so dislike Christmas, but that have to do with my job. But maybe we'll get into that later. Maybe I'll write that down here. Xmas job. I got to write everything down. So Vanessa, I just want to get to hers really quick. Maple sugar candies, maple cookies, maple most anything, maple ice cream. God, I got to marry this girl. I swear to God, she's awesome.
I have got to get me a bottle of maple syrup that's in the Canadian maple leaf. I know they have it because I think I got that when I was in Canada back in 2005. It was maple syrup, but it was in the maple leaf shape. Yep. And that's the one that almost got the freaking car disassembled at the border because we drove across the border and the border guard asked me if I was bringing anything across the border. And I said, yeah, maple syrup. And I think he thought I was being a smart ass.
Oh, that's right, too. I remember that.
He freaking started yelling, screaming, saying by law he could disassemble the car and they don't have to put it back together again. And I'm like, dude, chill. You asked me what I'm bringing. I'm telling you, that's what I'm bringing. I said, check the bag that's on the floorboard. I mean, it's right here. And he comes over and pulls it out. And it's a bottle of maple syrup. And he's like, well, you didn't have to be such a smart ass about it. I'm like, I wasn't a smart ass. You asked me if I was bringing anything. I said, Canadian maple syrup. You thought I was being a smart ass. I was being honest. That's what I was bringing.
Yeah, you got to watch out for some of those border guards.
He was just mad because he didn't have a bottle of it, and I did. He wanted it, but he didn't get it.
That's probably what it was. I like this because we were talking about the football earlier. So Josh says Pac-12 championship, and then immediately after, Rod says Pac-12 championship.
Wait a minute, what's the Pac-12? Is that a new conference? Everybody knows SEC is the conference.
I don't know what the I'm not a football guy. I'm not a football guy, so I honestly don't know what Pac is.
You know what you should do, Shane?
Pacific
purple,
and Central.
Gold. That's what you should.
I should do what? Sorry.
Live purple, love gold. That's the LSU little motto.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay. Yeah. I watch a little bit of football at work.
That's my LSU banner hanging right
there. There you go. Yeah, I remember that.
Where's my other one? Oh, there it is. Wait, it's hard to point when you can't see. That's my Buccaneers one right there, and that's my light that's shining bright in my face so that you guys can see me.
It's all good. It is all good.
Maple walnut ice cream. I'll just go ahead and come over here like this and show you my. There it is. My Buccaneer flag.
I remember that flag.
Bucko Bruce right there. That's Bucko Bruce. I'm an old school Buccaneers fan, so I get to display the original. I'm not a Tom Brady fair weather. Oh, he's on the Bucs. I'm rooting for the Bucs now. No, I didn't want Tom Brady to come to the Bucs in the first place. The only reason he won the Super Bowl is because he went to a team that was due to win a Super Bowl.
Rod's saying they do play on Fridays now. Rod, I'm not a football guy, so that's why I was like, it couldn't be NFL because I don't think NFL plays on Fridays. I know that much. I'm not a complete stupid idiot. I do watch a little bit of football when I'm at work at night. I'll watch the late game just casually, kind of on TV while I'm taking everybody's money because that's what I excel in.
You can try to teach me hockey then, because I don't understand the icing and offsides and power plays.
Oh,
I mean, I
dude, I
know the
would.
language, but I have no clue what any of that means.
Well, one of these times we're gonna get you up here when you can spend an entire weekend, and I will take you to a hockey game.
I'll be up there in July.
We do not have hockey in July. It's too
What
hot.
do you mean? There's
I
ice.
know. I know it's
Oh,
hard for you to. It's hard for you to wrap your head around, but we don't play hockey in the summer because it's too hot.
that's weird. Oh, Shane. So that being said, let me ask you this question. So, like right now,
Sure.
it's wintertime. Are you guys in the 6 months of daylight or the 6 months of darkness?
It varies depending
Like
on
if
the
I was
day.
up, let's just say I went up there tomorrow, would I need a flashlight just to see where I'm going? Or is it like I'm going to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and it looks like it's noon because the sun's shining bright?
No. It does get dark pretty early this time of year. Like probably once you get to about like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, like it's noticeably dark all of a sudden.
Well, but I thought when you were in the Arctic Circle, like Canada is, I thought you guys did like 6 months of daylight and 6 months of darkness.
There is that's a little bit farther north than what I know. Ontario is a really big province, and probably in the northern part, I'm actually right down. I'm not quite as south as you can go in
Look at
Ontario, but
Jeremy.
I'm pretty close.
Jeremy is the YouTuber that never was but should have been. Am I correct? Is that the guy that
Yes,
from the
that's
video,
correct.
the Home Alone?
Yeah.
Or Home
Yep.
Alone. It's Christmas. I said Home Alone. I'm
I knew what
actually
you
a
meant. It's all
Christmas
good.
Story
I was
guy.
following.
I am a Christmas Story guy here. But yeah, he's the all by myself guy.
Yeah.
And he's drinking, what did he say? Where did it go? I lost the chat. A double up coffee milk stout. Excellent choice.
Oh, is he there? Oh, I'm not even that far in the chat.
Excellent choice.
I'm not even that far in the chat. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, there's like 100 freaking things.
Yeah, my parents went.
Oh my God. Have you had the double up coffee milk stout, Brian?
I have
Did
not.
I send you one of those?
I have not, but I did get a package from Alan, and I think it had a coffee beer in it, or that might have been my buddy from Minnesota. I'm not sure. I can't see.
If you haven't had that, I'm gonna grab, because I gotta grab you some chips and some butter tarts and stuff. I'm gonna grab you a double up coffee stout. To try.
Hey,
that is pretty good.
I sent you what's that beer that you requested a while back? The Bloody Ghost.
I only ever request one beer from you. You know that.
Well, I sent it and I tracked it today. You're going to be getting it tomorrow around 2 p.m. It says.
Fantastic. That'd be awesome. I love that Bloody Mary Goza.
It was cold
cold
when I packaged it up, but it's been in transit for a minute, so it's probably not going to be cold when it gets to you. But it's the thought that counts.
Well, always. But it's good to see Jeremy on here. Double up coffee stout. Good to see you, buddy. I didn't realize you'd come.
That's
I am
Jeremy
so far
Heisman.
behind.
I'm sure he's related to the Heisman Trophy, which is a football trophy. And Shane was just saying how big of a football fan he is. That's cool
Really?
that, the guy that's related to the original Heisman Trophy is in the chat.
What do we got here for Rod J? It wasn't a bad ketchup chip and still get some in the area, I believe. Okay, well, Rod J's down in Baltimore. So at least he can get a ketchup chip. That's cool.
And he can get blue crabs on every corner.
That's true.
That
is true.
That's like their thing is blue crabs.
Nothing wrong with that. I love a good crab, no matter what. I love crab. Josh says he puts mustard on his French fried taters. I know I've tried mustard on French fries.
Now I've tried the honey mustard like from McDonald's, but McDonald's fries don't need anything, but they do taste pretty good in that honey mustard sauce. I gotta tell you.
Oh, for sure. Going back to Norval here,
Germany, they don't use ketchup; they use mayonnaise.
I don't mind mayonnaise if it's a sweet potato fry. The sweet potato French fries with mayonnaise is excellent. That's the only time I probably use mayonnaise with my French fries, if it's a sweet potato fry. So Vanessa's saying Orville was funny at times. I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2. And I apologize if nobody has never seen the Orville. Season 1 or season 2, where Isaac the robot tries to play a practical joke on, I can't remember what the hell his name is, the redheaded guy, and he cuts his leg off. If you've seen the series, you know what I'm talking about. And the guy comes like hopping in with one leg. He's like, "Hey man, you cut off my leg!" And the robot's like, "Ha ha, that is a funny joke," because the robot doesn't quite understand humor. It was funny as shit. I love that one. And they also did the robot's name's Isaac, right? I think it is. And the guy put the Mr. Potato Head, like eyes and nose and mouth thing on him because he didn't realize it because he was a robot and when he was asleep. Fucking hilarious show. I absolutely loved it. We have a company making smoked maple syrup with pecan wood. Smoked is delicious. Oh my god, I need to try that.
And that's in Connecticut? They're doing that?
It might be. Smoked maple syrups with sorry Brian, pecan wood. I say pecan. I don't know why that discussion gets brought up on. It's been brought up on my channel several times. I know it's been brought up on Rod J's channel several times. How to pronounce pecan or pecan. I say pecan. Brian says pecan. Rod saying cheers for Josh and Vanessa. What else we got here? Pac-12 was the best conference this year, but getting blown. I still don't know what Pac-12 is. Somebody explain it to me. I'm not a football guy.
Shane, to be honest, maybe he's had a couple of beers. He's misspelling the SEC because it's not spelled.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's not spelled PAC-12. It's spelled SEC. That's it. He's probably had a few. He's a little loopy.
He's a beer reviewer. He's entitled to have a couple. Get loopy.
Go Tigers, and by go Tigers, I mean GEAUX. LSU.
There you go.
It's a French thing. Hey, if I ever go to Canada, I can just speak LSU speak, and they'll know what I'm talking about because.
Absolutely. Yes, they will.
They kind of speak. Sure. It sounds French.
Vanessa said, I used to go to hockey games right at the glass, just off center of the goal. All the fights and smashing heads end at the glass. Yeah, that's the one thing I love about hockey, and I will fight anybody who disagrees that hockey's not one of the greatest sports in the world, because in hockey there's always something happening. Not like, and I no disrespect for anybody who likes football or any of the other sports. Football is, it's like, okay, you got this exciting play that lasts 10 seconds, and then you wait until they huddle all up and figure out what to do, and then there's the 10 seconds again. Whereas hockey, there's always movement. That puck is always moving. You never know what's going to happen from 1 minute to the next. Like there's always something going on. There's a fight. Hockey. There's something.
Here's what I love about hockey. Even though I know nothing about it, this is what I love about it. As a uneducated in the school of hockey, I don't know anything, but this is what I love as an outsider looking in. Hockey has a similar layout to soccer. You got a goal at this end, a goal at that end. But the thing that makes hockey exciting is the goalkeeper. Is that what you call him? The goaltender, goalkeeper, whatever you call the guy.
Goaltender, yep. Yep, goaltender.
So he's this wide, and the net behind him is this wide. Whereas in soccer, you got the guy guarding the net is this big, and the net's freaking 60 feet wide. And yet a soccer score ends up being like 3-2. It's like, how do you not score when the goal is that big? I mean, to me, soccer is the most, I don't get it. I don't get why the whole world burns down stadiums over soccer. Because to me, it makes no sense. Hockey, it's a much smaller area and it's harder to score because you got this big dude with all these pads on blocking the goal, which is about the same size as he is, so it's harder to score.
Sure,
but when you score a goal in hockey, I mean in soccer, they act like they just cured cancer. They rip their shirt off. They're running around like, look at me, I just cured cancer. It's like, no, you just freaking kick the
Right?
ball in a 60-foot wide net, and there's like a dude who's like a foot and a half wide blocking it. No, you should have made this shot. What do you act like you just cured cancer?
Exactly.
I don't get soccer. Do not get it
I
at
know.
all. Don't. Here's a funny soccer story, and I'm going to call it soccer because I'm an American, and that's what we call it. Because if I
That's
said
what we call it too.
football, if I said football, I'm talking about real football, not soccer. Like the rest of the world calls it football. That's not football. But here's the thing. We were in the Grand Caymans. Used to be a British island. It's independent, but they still have the picture. Well, now it's the king, but it used to be Queen Elizabeth in the airport and everything. So me and my wife were there, and we went into this. There was an Irish pub. So we go in, and it happened to be, I don't know what they call the World Soccer Tournament thing, like the World Cup, or I don't know what they call it. A big
Right.
soccer worldwide tournament was going on. So we walk in, the place is crowded, it's loud, and there's like 2 empty seats at the bar. Perfect. So we just go up, sit down at the bar. Bartender comes over, throws a couple menus at us, and we're looking at the menus. He's like, "You must be Americans." He says this in a British accent. He's like, "You must be Americans."
Right.
And I look up and I'm like, "Yeah, how can you tell?" He's like, "Because you're the only ones in here that aren't interested in the football match." And I looked up at the TV and I said, "That's not football." And I looked back at the menu and said, "Give me a hamburger."
I would not have eaten that hamburger because they probably spit in it.
Well,
Because the way
to
he
be
probably said,
honest,
this guy thinks football is
he
soccer.
says it's going to sound bad. He said, "I'm British, but I don't get football either." And I looked at him again and I said, "That's not football." We probably ate boogers and spit, and who cares else? What else?
That's
Whatever.
what
We
I'm
were on
saying.
vacation. We like to eat boogers and spit on vacation. Whatever.
Why not, right? So Rod J said, I don't know if he left already, but hey, thanks for stopping by, Rod. I always appreciate any time you stop by my live. I hope he's not here because it's an honor to have the legend Rod J on my channel. He hates it when I call him the legend, so I hope he's gone.
I wish he would show up in Canada.
I think I talked to him on, I can't remember if it was his live last week or maybe the one I did last week. But I think he's very interested in coming up, and I would love to have Rod J up there because he would be sure.
Because right now, us crazy Americans, we got stupid little things that we just go all out nuts over. So like right now, the Mac Rib is back at McDonald's. Do you guys get the Mac Rib up there in Canada?
We do. I don't know if we have it up here, but we might have it right now. I don't know because I don't eat at McDonald's very often. It's not a place that I go to very often.
I've been on a diet for 2 weeks. I've been eating nothing but salads. I was kind of craving a Mac Rib. So I just wanted to know if you guys could get Mac Ribs up there, or
maybe send you down one.
Yeah, I don't mind.
Let me look into that. I'll get back to you about the McRib for sure. And if I can get one, I'll FedEx it down to you like next day or something. So at least it's semi-fresh. I actually don't mind the McRib. I don't mind. I think it's not so much the McRib itself. It's the sauce that they use on it, which I think is Bullseye.
I think it is
because
Bullseye.
I love Bullseye, especially the Bullseye.
In the
bowl.
original days, it
That
was
is a great
Bullseye.
sauce. Yeah, that's a great sauce. So Jeremy's saying, not usually a flavored beer fan. This one is delicious. Yeah, that double up chocolate stout is really super, super good. Vanessa's saying horseradish sauce with sweet tater fries. I've never tried the horseradish sauce. I would probably like it. I've got to go. Yeah, I've got to go really easy on horseradish these days because of my stomach shit. But I wouldn't be opposed to trying horseradish on them.
If your nose is plugged, though, you got a head cold, and you can't breathe through your nose, a little horseradish will open everything right up.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Jeremy's saying mayonnaise on fries is a Dutch thing. I did not know that. Again, like I said earlier, I like it on my sweet potato fries, not my regular fries, but the sweet potato fries. I find because one of the people that we used to be able to get sweet potato fries at work, we don't anymore because we don't have a fryer anymore. because a fryer is bad for us. But one of the girls at work used to have sweet potato fries with mayonnaise, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, it's amazing." And I'm like, "Can I try one?" She's like, "Yeah." So I tried. I'm like, "This is great." So that's when I started to do the
well, I'll have to
sweet
give
potato
that a
fries with
go then,
mayonnaise.
because to be honest, when I eat sweet potato fries, I put ketchup on it. I would never put ketchup on a sweet potato.
Right.
My wife made sweet potato the other day, and it was just sweet potato and butter. She didn't even sprinkle cinnamon on it. I mean, I like a little cinnamon on my sweet potato, but
Right.
just butter on it is good enough.
That's a pretty southern thing, though, isn't it? The sweet potato. Like, you guys probably have that quite often.
Well, I love it, and I love sweet potatoes and sweet potato pie. Fantastic.
Oh, sweet potato pie. That sounds freaking fantastic.
It's kind of freaking fantastic. I love it.
Next time I come and visit, I'm gonna very graciously ask your wife to make me some sweet potato pie, and I will bring her a bottle of Niagara ice wine.
We'll have to when we take the vote for the attendees of the 3rd annual BrewTuber get together, when we're seeing where it's going to go next year, I'll just have to throw my name back in the hat. I mean,
well, you want to do it again? Really? Already? You want to do it again?
Well, it was kind of a little disappointment that first year that we had 3 people catch COVID, like right before the thing, and they couldn't come. 3 or 4 people couldn't come because they got COVID. I know Blue Eyes couldn't come.
Right. And Ray had COVID too, right?
Ray had it, and
Ray from Atlanta, not Ray from the Alkanauts, just so
right,
yeah. Keep track there.
And I think Wayne's beer delivery, I think he got sick. He couldn't come.
Oh, right.
And I think there was one more, but I can't remember who it was. So, that was a bit disappointing. But
you know what? There was only 5 of us at the very first one, and all of us had a fantastic time, Brian. Like you were such a great host.
Better than I was expecting. So, and that's the whole thing. When I had it, there was no precedent. So whatever we did, that's what it was. So when Mallory and Chu hosted it in Chicago this year, the precedent had been set, and they totally blew it way off the map. I mean, their get together was way better than mine, and so I know.
So how do you think that makes me feel now? Because I'm hosting next year. So how much pressure? Because I got to try and up Mallory and Chu.
Here's the whole thing, though. You got something that they didn't have. You got maple syrup.
I do have maple syrup.
You have ketchup,
and it will be readily available.
Chips. And you have flying monkeys.
No, that's not true though, because I brought maple syrup down to Chicago with me.
Wait, did I miss that?
I did. I brought maple syrup down to Chicago with me.
Through breakfast. I don't ever remember eating breakfast there.
Because as a good Canadian, I brought maple syrup with me because that's what we do.
Well, isn't that required by law though?
I think so. Yeah. I think they check that at the border, for sure. So Vanessa's going to try and find some smoked pecan maple syrup for me. If you can get your hands on some, sister, let me know. I will pay for the damn shipping if you need to.
My sister,
or I'll just
Baton Rouge.
You just send me up the pecan maple syrup, and I'll send you down a whole bunch of Canadian beers. That's a pretty good trade. Hard rubber puck flying at your face. Precious moments in hockey. Yeah. Hockey is faster, much faster. Yeah, absolutely. It's such a fast game. And you don't really realize it for anybody who's never been to a live hockey game, especially at the NHL level. Even like if you go to like the OHL, which is the Ontario Hockey League, which is just below NHL. If you sit right at the glass and you see how fast these guys skate, like they're motoring. You don't. I mean, to watch it on TV, you're like, oh, that guy's skating pretty fast. But to actually see it like right there, it's like ridiculous fast. It's like watching an F1 race because they're just like, and they're gone.
Yeah. I've never been to an NHL game, but I've been to a step underneath it. Like you say, not the Ontario League, whatever you just said, but like the AAA version or whatever the.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So just the guys that are just about to break into the guys that are talented enough.
I
just
went
about to
over
break
in
into it.
South Carolina, and like something happened. Like I don't know. Like I say, hockey is like a language, and if you don't speak the language, you just have to sit there and watch, and you have no clue about. You're just trying to figure it out what's going on. So I had no knowledge of hockey. So I'm like, I don't speak the language. Something happened, and everybody started throwing octopuses on the ice, and I'm like, what is that all about? You know, a guy had to come around and like scoop up all these octopuses that they threw in. They're like, oh, that's, that's Jimmy. His last name's Octopi or whatever. And he just scored a goal. So they throw an octopus on the ice, because that, his last name's Octopi or something like that. I don't know what it was, but it was like hundreds of octopuses. I'm like, where do you even get an octopus to throw on the ice? I mean, I've never been in a store and seen an octopus for sale. I mean, I don't.
Yep. There's octopus. There's I can't remember what team does the fish. Maybe it's Detroit, the Red Wings, maybe that does the fish.
I mean, always heard of the hat trick. That's a hockey thing. What is it? If you score 3 goals, that's a hat trick. Everybody throws a hat on the ice.
Yes,
I've heard of that, but I didn't know anything about this octopus until I saw it happen.
The cool thing about the hat trick, and I didn't realize this until just a couple of years ago, like if somebody scores a hat trick, gets the 3 goals in a game, and everybody throws their hats on the ice, you always see well, you don't actually see them on TV, but if you're at the game, all the girls go around and they collect all the hats and put them in a bin, and whoever scored that hat trick can actually take any of those hats. Like he gets first dibs at those hats. Now, I do know, I think it's Edmonton. I think the Edmonton Oilers, I think they actually have I'm pretty sure it's Edmonton. They have actually like a big glass, it's almost like an aquarium, and it is full of all the hats that they have gotten from hat tricks. That whoever the player was that didn't take the hat, they stick them in there. So it's just a big, huge like aquarium full of hats that were donated. So that's a kind of a cool little thing. I just think that's fascinating that they would do something like that. Vanessa saying,
I'm trying to look at Vanessa's picture. Is that a 1911? It's a tiny little thing. It looks like a 1911 from here.
I'm not sure what that is.
It's a tiny little picture. I can't really tell.
She's saying she found most beer channels through Rod's channel. Yeah, because Rod is a legend, and everybody gravitates to Rod's channel at some point or another.
That's it wasn't long after, like I said, after I started reviewing beers, I wanted to see what my competition was doing.
Right.
And Rod J. and, there was 3. There was Puckett. What's his name? I think his last name's Puckett. The old guy with the gray beard. Greg Puckett. Greg's Beer Reviews.
Oh, Greg Puckett. Yep.
Yeah, so like he's the number 1 guy in the United States. Hands down when it comes to beer reviewing. He's got the most subs, everything. And then there was Ronald Theriot.
Yeah, Ron's got a bunch too, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then
he does a lot of whiskeys and stuff too, though. So I think he appeals to a broader audience than like say you or I would.
But those 3, doing what we do, those were the 3 that we aspired to be remotely on their level. And none of us are even close to this day, but that's okay. It's the thrill of the chase.
Yeah, exactly. So Vanessa's saying she smokes ribs, and you will never have that McDonald thing again. I can't wait. I'm waiting. Brian and I are both waiting for the summer barbecue in Connecticut. As long as it's not in the second week of July, Brian and I will be there.
She said she's only 6 hours from Niagara Falls, so if she wants to come up and actually throw some ribs on the grill, for one of the meals, I mean, I'm totally supportive of that decision if that's what she makes.
I have I think I have in the works a pretty gourmet meal one night. Like,
so let me guess, we're gonna get some poutine, Canadian bacon.
We are.
I think that's it.
No,
Isn't that all you guys eat up there? Is poutine
Well,
and
my-
Canadian bacon?
pretty much. No, my big plan is to actually have, because again, you set the bar here and it was awesome, and then Mallory and Chu came around and went here. So now my job is to go here,
Well,
because if I can get this to work, and I think I can, I'm going to have a professionally catered dinner one night, probably on Saturday night, I think. Yeah.
well, I think you've already outdone everybody just by the location of where everybody's going to be staying.
Oh, the Airbnb I've got booked is just phenomenal. It is absolutely
When do we
phenomenal.
need to like pay our portion?
Probably not until the spring. I'm not going to worry too much about that until the spring. I'll get much like Mallory and Chu did. They got everybody to, if you're coming, throw a deposit so that we can, positively book. Because it's one thing to say, yeah, I'm going to be there, but it's another thing to kind of commit to it. Because the way the Airbnb that I have worked, I don't know how Mallory and Chu's worked. The Airbnb that I have booked, they actually charge per person. So the more people that stay there, the less per person it becomes.
Yeah.
And then I obviously have to transfer that cost on to you guys. So probably in the spring, like early spring, I'll start saying, hey, if you guys are coming, throw me, $100 or whatever. And just to slap that in there, just to make sure I know who's coming. I think Jeremy's actually going to stop by for one night. I was out with him. Remember I was talking about, I was at my friend's 50th birthday party a couple weeks ago. That was actually his wife, whose birthday party I was at. And he's saying it's Mick, not Mac Rib. Did I say Mac?
No,
I didn't say Mac.
I say Mac because I call it McDonald's because it's funnier that way.
That's true. That is funnier saying Mick.
Everybody calls it Mickey D's or whatever, McDonald's, and I'm like, when I tell my kids, you want to go to McDonald's? They're like, yeah, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna get a Mac Rib, and they're like, well, I want a Big Mac, and I'm like, yeah, well, I'll get a Big Mick. It's just
right.
It's a play on.
Big Mick was Coming to America. The movie Coming to America. They had the Big Mick because McDonald's had the Big Mac.
When I go to McDonald's, I always get the Big Mac, but because the McRib is only like it makes special appearances. It's not like on the menu all year round. When it comes out, I gotta tell my girlfriend, the Big Mac, that I don't love her this week because I got a new love, and I go get the McRib. And then when the McRib leaves me, I go back to the Big Mac and say, baby, please take me back. I was wrong. I made a mistake. And she takes me back. So that's my love life.
Oh. So I'm looking at this comment of Vanessa's, and I've read it like 3 times, and I'm trying to understand it. So you make the French fries, add mayonnaise, add ketchup, throw in blueberries, red, white, and blue fries. I
can't picture that combination in my mouth.
No, I can't either, and that's why I was kind of confused. I was like, and this comment specifically for you, Brian. Believe it or not, Brian, not every Canadian likes hockey or skis.
That's got to be a lie, because
that's a lie.
When I checked into what does it take to become a Canadian citizen, they said you must know how to ski and you must know everything about hockey and you must have a favorite hockey team that is in Canada. If you said like a United States team, you were banned from being a citizen in Canada.
That sounds about right. Right.
Look, I'm not smiling. This is not a. Do I look like I'm joking? I'm being serious. I checked into this.
So there you go. There's the answer to your question, by the way, Brian. I'm assuming it's pronounced Kunin. That's a Kunin 357 Magnum, all beefed up, 1911 version.
I really don't know why the Marine Corps did away with the 1911. That was like in my time when I was in. So the 1911, it's an old platform. That thing came out in 1911. That's why it's called the 1911. But it's a .45 caliber, and it's it did what it needed to do. And then for some reason, while I was in, they had two options available, either the 45 or the 9mm. And the 9mm was a Beretta. So a 9mm, I don't know
Right.
if you're a gun person or not, but a 9mm is way smaller than a 45 caliber.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know why they did that. When I had to qualify on the range, I for 4 days of the week, I practiced with a 1911. And then on qualification day, they said, "Oh, we got these brand new 9mm Berettas. This is what we're going to be qualifying with." It's like, we haven't shot these all week. These are brand new right out of the wrapper. These aren't the same thing. Whatever. I'm just, I like big caliber weapons. I like to feel
Right.
the
Of course.
recoil. I did not like the 9mm at all. My daily carry now is a 45. It's a very small frame 45. It's a Smith & Wesson. No, it's not. It's a Springfield XDS 45. My wife's daily carry is also a Springfield. It's the exact same size frame and everything. She carries the 9mm. So the only difference is the barrel size. The pistol is exactly the same. She can carry more rounds because her round is smaller than mine. But if I'm throwing 45s at you and you're a bad guy, I don't need as many. Even if I don't hit you, you know I'm shooting a cannon at you, and you're not gonna stay around very long.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
We are gun nuts. This is the United States. We are gun nuts. I know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I assume you guys are gun nuts in Canada. Otherwise, the polar bears would have already eaten all of you if you guys didn't carry weapons.
Well, we just use like sticks, sharpened sticks, and spears up here. Yeah, that's all we really need. Ever made fresh mozzarella? I've never made fresh mozzarella. Have you ever made fresh mozzarella, Brian?
I have not. I've never made cheese.
We don't need to make fresh mozzarella, Vanessa, because we know you will do it for us. Josh is saying, "I love Coming to America." Yeah, that was a great movie. It really was. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. That's right. That's who was in that.
Jesus, that's beautiful. What is it, velvet?
Oh my God, that was awesome. That sounded exactly like it. That was awesome. I love that. What's the message in here? Stripe of mayo, stripe of ketchup, a row of blueberries, red, white, and blue American flag. I'll try it.
I'm not opposed to trying it. I will try it.
I will try it for sure, but it just doesn't sound like it's going to go. My issue sidearm in the United States Air Force was the Smith & Wesson 629 44 Magnum in the 8 3/8 barrel.
That was the very first pistol that I bought before I joined the Marine Corps because it was such a novelty. When I was buying the pistol, the guy tried to sell me a 357 revolver, and I thought, yeah, that looks nice. And 357, I've heard of that, but what else do you got? And he said, well, I've got that one's big brother. And I'm like, what is it? And he pulled it out. He said, it's the same thing, but it's a 44 Magnum. I said, I got to have that one. I bought it. It was impractical. I mean, it costs way much more to shoot. It literally is a cannon in your hand. It's freaking. I tried to shoot, because the revolver, it had 6 rounds. I tried to shoot all 6 at one time without earplugs in. Bad decision. Bad decision.
Bad idea.
And when you shoot that thing at night, it shoots a flame out of the barrel. I swear it's like 3 feet long flame coming out. It's freaking a monster. But I loved it. I love that gun. I ended up selling it for more than I bought it for. To the Marine the one that died that we talked about earlier in the stream where I went to Connecticut to his funeral, he bought that from me, yeah.
Jeremy's saying, don't let them take your guns, Brian. And that's coming from a Canadian.
They can try.
Yeah, for sure. They're not going to. That's saying, very first sidearm, Smith & Wesson 229 through the barrel. In the fall of 1982, because I wanted more range time than the issue sidearm.
Well, I'm sure she can identify with this story then, because when I'd go to a range and I'd shoot my the gun she's talking about, the 629, as soon as you pull the trigger, everybody on the freaking firing line is turning and looking, seeing what in the hell was that. It's a
Right.
freaking monster.
And she's saying her gun is 41 years old. So you got it when you were 8. That's awesome. That's pretty young to be shooting, but that's okay.
You know, speaking of being at the pistol range, I was at a range when I was in the Marines. I had my 44 Magnum, and there was a guy in a wheelchair that was shooting. I don't even know what it was called, but it looked like one of those ancient. It was a black powder pistol. And
Okay.
So the wood, like our pistols, when you hold it, your hand is pretty much, vertical, and the the barrel's going this way. But this thing looked like something they used in the Revolutionary War. It was like more shaped like a boomerang. So like when you held it, your hand was like this. It was freaking weird. And I'm watching, and this guy says, "Hey, I see you looking at my gun." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've never seen anything like that." And he says, "You want to shoot it?" So I'm like, "Oh, yeah. What is it?" He said it's a 50 caliber black powder pistol. And I'm like, 50 caliber, man, that's bigger than my 44 Magnum. Funny thing is, so he had to load it for me because I didn't know anything about loading black powder. You got to freaking do all this monkey motion and pour the powder in. I mean, it was like an ancient pistol. And when I fired it at a target that was 7 yards away, guess what happened? I missed.
Oh, really?
And the reason why, with the pistols I'm used to shooting, when you pull the trigger, the round goes off. It's instant.
Right.
The thing about that black powder rifle is it had flint. And like when you pull the trigger and the hammer goes, that creates a spark, which now has to travel down the way to get to the black powder to explode it to make the round come out.
Right.
We're not talking a 5-minute process. We're not talking a 10-second process. It could have been a fraction of a second, but when I pulled the trigger and it didn't go boom, I started to lower the weapon. I thought I had a misfire, and when I lowered it, it went boom and it shot. And I'm like, he laughed at me, and he's like, "You just missed the target from 7 yards." I'm like, "Well, I thought I had a misfire," and he's like, "It's a black powder rifle. This is how it works." And he had to explain to me.
Right.
So there's a delay, from when you shoot. It's not, our cartridges. As soon as that hammer hits it, it explodes, boom, the round goes off. So it's like an instant thing. You pull the trigger, it goes boom. But with that black powder rifle, there's a process. It has to go boom, spark, like lighting a fuse on a firecracker. It's like, it's not
right.
instant. You don't light the firecracker and it goes boom. You light it, it goes boom. And that's what that pistol was. So he laughed at me, and I thought, yeah, okay, that's funny. But the thing that I thought was weird was there was no recoil. It's not like a revolver versus a semi-automatic pistol. So a revolver, when you pull the trigger, all of the recoil goes into the shooter. Like when you pull the trigger of a revolver, boom, you feel it. In a semi-automatic pistol like the 1911, when you pull the trigger, it goes boom, but part of that recoil gets redirected into the slide. So the slide is going to come back, eject that round. It's going to spring forward, load the new round. So the recoil is different in a semi-automatic pistol than it is in a revolver.
Sure.
I don't like, personally, I like to feel it. When I pull the trigger, I like to feel what I just did. So I prefer revolvers. However, I don't own one anymore. I sold my revolver. I carry semi-autos now, but I'm old. I don't want to be in the fight that long. If something bad happens, I just want I want the fight to be over with. So I'm okay. I got a big caliber weapon. Granted, I think I have 7 shots. I got to make the magic happen in 7 shots, or else it's over for me. But I'm okay with that.
It's all good. Oh, all right. I'm just looking at the time here, Brian. It looks like it's about 11 o'clock. We should probably wrap things up here.
Yeah, I got a big day tomorrow. I got to go do some stuff.
Yeah, me as well, for sure. But hey, Brian, thanks for taking the time to come on and co-hosting with me. Always a pleasure to talk to you, buddy. Thanks everybody who tuned in tonight. Vanessa, Josh, Jeremy, Rod, everybody else who's in the wings that didn't comment at all. I know there's a couple because I can see how many people are watching, and I know a couple of you are in there that haven't commented, but that's okay. If you just want to sit and watch and listen to me and Brian babble on about beer and guns and planes and everything else we talked about tonight, that is absolutely okay. So yeah, definitely join me next week. I'll have another new special guest co-host with me. You guys probably know who it is. Anybody who was here earlier, you probably know who next week's co-host is going to be. But for those of you guys,
good questions for him.
Yeah, I'm definitely I'm gonna come up with a bunch of good questions for him, and yeah. But hey, guys, thank you so much. Brian, hang on the line here because we're gonna chat after I go off live here.
Okay.
But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you checking out my new live channel. It means a lot that a lot of you guys actually stop by just to say hi. So until next week, say goodbye. Don't forget to check out this guy here, Brian TheBeerSnob on YouTube. The man has some amazing videos. Does a really good job. And once more, I must add, he is the 2023 fan favorite Chuggy Award winner. You don't get to be the fan favorite.
Right over there off camera.
Yeah, and mine's behind my backdrop.
When you come to the Harper Pub and you sit at the bar, that's the first thing you're gonna see.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And hey, show that thing off, buddy. You absolutely 100% earned the fan favorite trophy for sure. But anyway, guys, that's enough for me. So on behalf of myself and Brian TheBeerSnob, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.